October 12th will be a huge night in the city of Edmonton. That is when the Edmonton Oilers will officially christen Rogers Place in their regular season home opener, fittingly against their Alberta rivals, the Calgary Flames. But instead of waiting another month and a bit, a number of lucky fans got a sneak peek at the Oilers' impressive new digs, and our Gene Principe was there for all the reaction.
The outside doors opened and people started streaming into the building. The first fans of the day had arrived.
Hi, welcome to Rogers Place.
What's your excitement level like coming into Rogers Place for a first time?
I don't know, it's 10, 12, 100, infinity.
They gathered in a large group, waiting for the doors to officially open. Then it was time to make their way through Rogers Place, walking on the concourse, riding escalators, sitting in seats, and seeing the ice and the building.
It's awesome, and about time. It's about time.
You know what? This is unbelievable. This is what we've all been dreaming about.
The dream, now a reality. You can see it, you can touch it, and from any angle or any vantage point, Rogers Place got a thumbs up from the fans.
Everything's pretty open and sleek, so it's a cool, open atmosphere. And it's probably the neatest thing, yeah.
I would say that we're not bumping into each other like we were at Rexall. That was really nice. And obviously the new scoreboard's pretty amazing too.
What was also amazing was the reaction of fans. Saturday's open house was free to attend with 57,700 tickets made available to the public. It only took 15 minutes for the first 13,000 of those tickets to be scooped up. And eventually, all tickets were given away in the first sellout at Rogers Place.
It's incredible, and there's so much excitement about Rogers Place. I think to open the house to the public first and foremost was absolutely a no-brainer.
The consensus through the organization was to see how Rogers Place would perform, and the best way to do that was to add people to it. The first test for the arena by the paying public will be on Friday when Keith Urban performs at Rogers Place. Gene Principe, Sportsnet, Edmonton.
Thank you, Gene. Rogers Place again will be electric on October 12th. That's when the Oilers host the Flames in that regular season opener. If you can't get a ticket, no worries. Tune in here to Sportsnet. We will have all the action for you beginning 8 o'clock Mountain Time. All right, stay right there. After the break, we hear from Team North America, who plans to turn up the intensity in their next game.
This is a Sportsnet Central update. Closed captioning brought to you by Petro-Canada's Ultra 94, official fuel of the Ultra 94 Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge.
Well, Team North America has certainly lived up to the expectations of being a fast and skilled team in their pre-tournament opener against Team Europe. Round 2 goes tomorrow in Montreal, but when it comes to their intensity, Nathan MacKinnon and company hope to rip a page out of Team Canada's book after watching them face Team USA in their first exhibition game.
Yeah, I just think after watching last night's game, just the intensity, I think it's going to carry over to ours. Obviously, we want to be more intense, and I think they want to be more intense and bring up the pace a little bit.
You know, it wasn't very physical last game, obviously, but I think our speed used to our advantage last game, and if they're going to play a little more physical, obviously we need to do the same thing.
You can chalk up some of their game to jet lag and to not being together, but they'll have 2 more practice days. Their staff will have them extremely prepared. And I thought they got better as the game wore on. So we'll get the competition that we need in Montreal tomorrow night.
Yes, Team North America will go head-to-head against Europe once again. You can see that tomorrow night. All the pre-tournament action will be here on Sportsnet beginning at 5:30 Eastern. And coming up later tonight on the Sportsnet networks, we have USA versus Canada. Coming up next on the regionals at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 Pacific on Sportsnet 1. It's the Orioles and Tigers in their crucial series, both teams in the wild card chase. And over on Sportsnet 360, talk about big. Jerry Dobson calls his final game as Toronto FC takes on the Chicago Fire. That is at 8:30 Eastern. And coming up your way after U.S. Canada, I'll be back on the desk for Sportsnet Central alongside Brendan Dunlop. All right, that wraps up This show for me, the Jays get a much-needed win and have a chance to move back into first place tomorrow with Aaron Sanchez taking the mound against Clay Buchholz. Enjoy the hockey game. The Hockey Central crew is coming up next.
Commentators' clothing provided by Jack Victor, proudly made in Montreal by Canadians for men everywhere since 1913. Available at better stores nationwide. Please visit jackvictor.com. Women's hair services provided by Fiorio Hair Salons. Go to fiorio.com for a location near you. Sportsnet is proud to present the 2016 World Cup of Hockey in association with the National Hockey League and the National Hockey League Players Association.
The World Cup of Hockey back in the nation's capital, Canada, looking to rebound from last night's 4-2 loss in Columbus. Check out those playoff periods still being rocked by Brent Burns and Joe Thornton. The Americans, of course, all business last night, and they're ready for another battle, but this time on enemy territory.
It's a pretty good rivalry, you know, U.S.-Canada. It kind of just lights itself up.
We've also seen a lot of this intensity.
Guys want to, get that intensity, get that emotion, right away.
You probably expect it no matter what's on the line.
If there is a villain in the National Hockey League, a guy that everybody hates, unless you're playing with him, that's Kessler.
There were a couple borderline hits. Definitely thought there was a few things that crossed the line.
And it's going to intensify as this game moves on.
I think anytime, USA plays Canada, you're going to get that type of game. Canada, USA, what a way to start the year.
Vezina winner Braden Holtby, his pregame ritual so important, visualizing those great saves. It'll be the first time ever he represents Canada in international play. He's expected to start. And what about Corey Perry, replacing the injured Jeff Carter? He'll be making his World Cup of Hockey debut as well, one of 10 Stanley Cup winners on Team Canada. Welcome into round 2, Canada versus the US of A. I'm David Amber. Last night, the big news was the return of Carey Price after that nagging knee injury. Tonight, the big news, who's not in the lineup. Direct your attention to the bottom of the screen. Sidney Crosby is a healthy scratch for Canada, along with Price and Muzzin. Crawford will split time in net with Braden Holtby. The Americans have made some changes as well, but the big news, Sid the Kid not playing tonight. Here's Mike Babcock on his decision to rest 87.
Well, I knew he was going to make the team, so it was, we want to see everybody. We gave him a good goal last night. We're comfortable with that line, and so we got other things that we don't have solved, so we'd like to solve those.
You have to love Mike Babcock. we knew he was going to make the team. I love it. All right, Elliot Friedman, Nick Kyprios. Nick, you heard what the coach had to say about the decision to rest 87. You alluded to this earlier in our afternoon game, saying, I think he's going to rest. What do you make of this?
Well, for a different reason. And yes, he can downplay it rather easily and justify that he played almost to the end of June with the Stanley Cup champions, Pittsburgh Penguins. I look at it from a different perspective. We know Dubinsky has been named on Team USA. We also know that strong history throughout their career of going at it. And we saw it again last night. So I sit there, and if I'm Mike Babcock, I go, why would I give Dubinsky another chance in a preseason game to go after my gold medalist, my Stanley Cup champion? It's not that easy. Why not pull him out of the lineup and make Dubinsky come after him when it really counts, Elliot, when they start a week from now?
Well, this is their last meeting because in their last pre-tournament games, they don't play against each other, and I do agree. I think there's some element that is said, and we talked about some coaches who are not participating in this tournament saying yesterday and today that there's a lot of free shots early on. Don't give up the free shots if you don't have to.
And there was a definite demeanor to that U.S. team, and it sort of said, you're in Columbus, you're on our territory, we're not going to get pushed around, we're going to push you around. And you saw a lot of that last night.
Well, I looked at when I went home last night, and Friday night I go home and I look at the computer because I've got nothing better to do on a Friday night. But I looked at the penalty minutes. There were 31 penalty minutes in the game last night, and I was just curious. If you look at their history in best on best, how does that compare? And if you go from the 1990 Olympics to the 2014 Olympics, Canada-USA head-to-head had just 17 penalty minutes a game. So it tended not to be that physical. But you go back to the 96 World Cup, the one the Americans won where they beat the Canadians in the final. That was a tournament where their games were nasty. And right from the exhibition, there was a 7-5 game before they played any game that counted. And those were games where the Americans came after Canada. They came after them again in the round robin. Here's game number 1. And they made it very clear that they were going to take the game right to Canada. There's Bill Guerin, and he's fighting a little bit with Keith Primo. He gets some help there from Joel Otto. Keith Tkachuk, who went after a couple Canadians in an exhibition game, goes after Claude Lemieux here. Eric Lindros got frustrated, took a bad penalty on Tkachuk. The Americans made it very, and Ron Wilson, who coached them back then, Dave, his quotes were very clear. We are going to establish the physical toll and take this series to the Canadians. And I thought it was a major reason they won.
Well, so Crosby's out, and who comes in? Corey Perry. And we know the way he plays, and if Team USA wants to continue what we saw last night, that's fine with a guy like Corey Perry. I think he's more apt to bring the average up from 1996 than the current one, what we see today.
Yeah, maybe we'll go over. I'm not sure what the over-under at 31 was set for Game 1. We'll see if we go over that. You guys mentioned 1996. Well, let's bring in a key member of that U.S. World Cup championship team. There he is, Bill Guerin. You saw him in the highlights picking on some of the Canadian players. Bill, what do you remember? Because a lot of us remember that incredible U.S. comeback in the third and final game of the final versus Canada. 4 goals in the last few minutes to win the championship. But what do you remember from 96?
You know what? I just remember that, first and foremost, it was a great team, a great bunch of guys. We really enjoyed playing together. We came together very quickly. And then, it was just a tournament filled with emotion. We felt we had a team that could kind of take the next step. We knew that there were, different things we were going to have to do that. And, it was a great tournament. We were really proud of the fact that we won.
Hey, Bill, growing up, my mom always used to tell me, don't use the word hate. It's too strong of a word. But I really think it's the perfect word to describe Canada versus the USA. You saw it first and foremost in 96. And 20 years later, it hasn't wavered one bit. Why is that?
Well, I think, the rivalry's gotten so good because we've caught up. I think when we put our best on the ice and Canada puts their best on the ice, the two teams are very closely matched. Obviously, Canada's player pool is much larger than anybody else's in the world. But two evenly matched teams makes for a better rivalry. When one team's not as strong, it doesn't make for much of a game. So I think that the fact that USA Hockey's come so long in the last, 20, 30 years, that it just makes the rivalry better. And, we all play together in the NHL too, so there's some bragging rights going on. Hate's an awful strong word. Your mother's right. But I think when it comes down to these games that the word's appropriate. And when these tournaments are over, it's left on the ice and we can get back to just being teammates in the NHL again.
Bill, there are 2 teams you love, USA Hockey and the Pittsburgh Penguins. And you've got Sidney Crosby playing for one and playing against the other. These pre-tournament games, not only Canada-USA, have been much edgier than I think a lot of us expected. Is part of you at all sitting there worried about the punishment that Crosby took the other night or punishment that anybody might take in the next couple of weeks?
No, I'm not worried about it. I think, if there's anybody that can handle himself or not put himself in a vulnerable position, it's Sid. What I expected was what happened last night. These guys are all professionals. They know what's coming. They know what they're going to have to deal with. They're all in top shape by this time of year. And, there's always a risk. And, you do worry about it, but it's just too great of a tournament to pass up, too great of an opportunity, so you do take the risk.
A lot at stake, a World Cup of Hockey champion. Bill Guerin, thanks for your time now.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right, well, let's get you right out to the Canadian Tire Center. That's where we'll find Christine Simpson alongside the Jets' new captain, Blake Wheeler, a powerful American forward. Christine?
Thanks very much, David. Blake, given how intense and physical last night's game was, do you think we should expect more of the same tonight? What do you think we'll see?
I would assume so. It might be a touch slower just based on the travel and, playing back-to-back games. But I don't think the intensity will be down. And, playing in front of their home crowd, I'm sure they're going to come out hard.
It sure was effective for you guys last night, but John Tortorella was quick to say, I don't want to see a parade to the penalty box. How do you walk that fine line?
Well, I think you want to be responsible and clean out there. I think there is a fine line between playing hard and playing reckless, and we want to be a tough physical team to play against. Someone that is tough every night, but you can't go to the penalty box, especially against these guys. They got some of the best players in the world. We let them go on the power play. It's going to be a long night.
I'm sure you were happy with the win, but you maybe didn't have the complete game that you guys had hoped for. We saw some dips throughout the game last night. How do you avoid that tonight?
Yeah, there were stretches that they controlled. Our goaltending was awesome yesterday. So, I think for the most part, we got to play a North game, try to get the puck in behind their guys. That's the strength of our team, is try to get on the forecheck, try to create some turnovers, and whenever we get an opportunity, just throw the puck on net and try to recover it. And I think we started doing that the second half of the first period and had some success doing it.
Well, appreciate your time. Thanks for this, Blake.
All right, thanks for having me.
David?
Thank you, Christine. The Sportsnet 360, that was our triple header started. Russia, Czech Republic, third period in Prague. Nikita Kucherov, the Lightning forward, 30-goal scorer this year. That's an easy one for him. Puts it away, 1-0 Russia. But check this out, just a bit more than a minute left. Czech pull the goalie, and Tomic Plekanec off the stomach and in. No problem. Whoop, right there. We're going to overtime, fellas. 3-on-3 overtime. Czechs actually outshot Russia 32-15 in regulation. In OT, the grade 8, Alexander Ovechkin in all alone for the win. Look at the little hook there, Andre Schuster.
Should have been a penalty shot.
Maybe, that's what Ovechkin's saying. He's complaining to the ref so much that Jacob Voracek goes on a breakaway the other way. Denied by Varlamov. 33 saves from Semyon Varlamov. We go to a shootout, tied at 1. Third shooter for the Czechs. The former Oiler, Ales Hemsky, former Senator too. Finds the back of the net. That's your winner, guys. Czech Republic win 2-1 is your final. In dramatic fashion, they score in the last minute 15 and then they win in a shootout. And following the win, the Czech Republic, especially their captain, they say they're gaining confidence they can hang with any of the teams in this tournament.
Nobody really believed that we can play against those big teams, and I think we showed already in those two games that if we play as a team, if we play well and don't make any mistakes, we're able to play, and we gotta continue to do that.
The good thing is we improving every day, and even from the first game we improved D-zone coverage, and we didn't give them that many chances like the first game, and we're getting better every day, so that's the most important thing.
I was kind of expecting different game. I thought I'm gonna have way more work than I did, but it wasn't easy. But I stayed focused the whole time, but battled through, and I think I made a couple key saves in the OT, and in a shootout you just never know. It's 50-50, and we won, so I'm happy.
And we'll find out about the Czech Republic. They're in Canada's grouping here at the World Cup of Hockey. Meanwhile, Russia, the big question mark surrounding the Russians, guys, coming into this tournament was who, if anyone, would step up and declare themselves that number one goalie. So we've had Bobrovsky did pretty well in Game 1. Varlamov did very well in Game 2. How does the situation play itself out?
Well, I agree with what Plekanec said, that the Czechs were really good today. They were by far the better team, and Varlamov deserved a better fate. He was tremendous. He made a couple of huge saves, including one that kept the game scoreless in the second period. This one was actually off Plekanec right there. And then, I just felt that he was excellent. Bobrovsky yesterday, though. This is the game the Russians won. Look at his incredible save in the last minute. I think if you're Colorado and Columbus, and these are two guys that give you any chance of success this year, you're very excited about what you're going with. I wonder, though, Dave, if the fact that Bobrovsky started Game 1 means he has the inside track on the job.
The other question mark surrounding Russia has to be goal scoring. Back in 2014, on home ice in the Olympics, they score 8 goals. That wasn't one game. That was over 5 games. That's why they didn't do so well. Alexander Ovechkin, everything points to the grade 8. Why is he not so great thus far?
Well, first of all, I totally agree with Elliot. The Schuster should have been a penalty, if not a penalty shot. That's the only time I noticed him, guys. It's been 2 exhibition games now, and it's not necessarily that he has to score, but we also know there's a physical element to his game, and we haven't seen that in 2 pretty emotional preseason games. So you're sitting there going, okay, how much pressure does he feel now coming into this tournament? You know, if you look at what he's been able to do internationally, he's got the World Junior Championship. He's got a few World Championship success stories. But in the height of this Ovi versus Sid era, and in the height of his career being the top goal scorer in the world, he hasn't fared out very well. And this is another challenge now. And I hope between now and when they drop the puck for real next week that he starts to crank it up a little bit, because people are going to be starting to talk about not only the lack of championships at the NHL level, but even the international situation between him and Sid. He's got to get going.
You know, if you look at overtime today, here's what Russia did with its forwards in 3-on-3. First, Kuznetsov, Kucherov. Second, Malkin, Kulemin. Third, Shipachyov, Tarasenko. And then Ovechkin and Dadonov. Interesting 4th shift among Russian forwards.
Possibly preoccupied. Just got married, Alexander Ovechkin, 2 weeks ago. I'm not making excuses,
it always
but
goes
maybe,
downhill.
Just maybe.
Is that what you're saying?
He's got some other things on his mind, maybe. But who knows? We know Corey Perry's got nothing on his mind, but Game 2 versus the US of A. They're on the ice at the Canadian Tire Center. Last night, all sorts of fun and games between the U.S. and Canada. No surprise, Brad Marchand. He finds his way into the middle of these situations no matter what the situation is. 37 goals. That was a career high he put up for Boston this year, so he can also put the puck in the net. He's standing ringside with our own Christine Simpson.
Well, Brad, it didn't take long for the emotions to ramp up in Columbus last night. You're a guy that doesn't mind getting his nose dirty. Do you think he'll be doing that again tonight?
Yeah, I think we can kind of expect the same game. Obviously, the emotions are very high. Tremendous amount of pride between the 2 teams. Always a big rivalry, so definitely going to be a physical game.
All right, you're without Sidney Crosby tonight, but I want to take you back to your first shot of the game last night. It's you and Sid on the rush. Be honest, did you even think about passing it to him?
A little bit, yeah, but I had a pretty clear shot, and I don't try to pass up many of those, so at that time it was time to shoot.
Thanks for this.
Thanks.
David?
I love it. Hey, you scored 37 goals. You could take that shot. They're both from the East Coast. You thought there'd be maybe a little East Coast love between the 2 of them, no?
It's funny, Glenn. You hear the stories all the time about confidence. And one of the things that Team Canada told Brad Marchand was be yourself. That's why you're on the team. Don't change. And if you have that confidence to take that shot, Nick, you're taking that shot no matter who's on the other ice with you.
I watch this and I break into a cold sweat because it brings me back memories of going down on a 2-on-1 with Messier in practice and thinking, I can't even shoot there. So obviously, Brad's got no problem with it. Good for him.
He didn't score, though, so next time you know he is going to pass it to 87. If you're just tuning in, Crosby, though, out of the lineup tonight for Team Canada. Earlier today, the second part of our triple header on Sportsnet 1, Sweden and Finland out in Gothenburg. Louis Eriksson on a line with the Sedins. The Canucks will like the looks of this because, case in point, 2-man advantage, Sedin to Eriksson. Eriksson's second to the tourney already, guys. And he wasn't done there. This time 5-on-4. Eriksson finds a seam, finds the back of the net behind Tuukka Rask. 2-0 Sweden after 1. Final seconds of the second. It's now 3-1. Finland power play this time. And they go to their captain, Mikko Koivu, from a crazy angle, goes upstairs on Lundqvist. And it's a 3-2 game after 2. Finland had that big comeback in game 1 and won it in overtime 2 days ago. Would there be another comeback? No. Third period, Philip Forsberg. Look at this pass to Nick Backstrom. 6-3. Sweden doubles up the Finns. Rask can't grab that one. Lundqvist picks up the win. These teams split their 2 games. And it's worth noting, guys, home teams now a perfect 6-0 thus far at the World Cup of Hockey pre-tournament. And when we think about Sweden, when we think about these nice, polite people, the Volvos and all the rest of this stuff, not so much maybe when it comes to the brashness when it comes to hockey, though.
Well,
Fair?
Finland, you know how much they hate each other. That is a serious rivalry. And Patrick Hornqvist apparently told some Swedish reporters after the morning skate that we are a better team than Finland. And to his credit, David, he backed it up. 4 points today in that victory. Hornqvist, I mean, we saw him this year, just a tremendously tough player to play against. He goes to the hard areas, and Nick, if someone's going to say something and back it up, he'd be on a good list.
You know, talking to Sid a couple times about Hornquist, who he finds is one of the strong teammates on Pittsburgh, it's his forecheck, believe it or not. It's the fact that he's so aggressive and able to turn pucks over. He plays like a role player, and he's a star.
I don't think Ristolainen likes him very much, judging from that cross-check at the end of the empty netter there.
We can tell you, Finland, Sweden, Czech Republic, Russia, they're making their way across the Atlantic. Their next games will be on North American soil as they get set for the true beginning of the World Cup of Hockey. All right, we are 3 days into the World Cup of Hockey, and it's fair to say the most intriguing team, Team North America. Perhaps the scariest team, Team North America. The one thing we can also tell you is they're not going to catch anyone by surprise anymore after that incredible win against Team Europe a couple of days ago. Kyle Bukauskas now with more on the setup, the preps for Team North America.
It was tough to be overly critical of Team North America's convincing 4-0 win on Thursday night to open their pre-tournament schedule. But head coach Todd McLellan has remained adamant this team has yet to hit its ceiling as they now prepare for what they believe will be a much greater challenge facing Team Europe for a second time around.
They face some circumstances that aren't that a lot of other teams in this tournament haven't had to face, and that was the Olympic qualifiers. That was the travel from Europe here, so you can chalk up some of their game to jet lag and to not being together, but they'll have 2 more practice days. Their staff will have them extremely prepared, and I thought they got better as the game wore on.
I think our ceilings, we have a long ways to go, but it's a short tournament, so we got to find our groove early as possible and keep building off that.
I just think after watching last night's game, just the intensity, I think it's going to carry over to ours. Obviously, we want to be more intense, and I think they want to be more intense and bring up the pace a little bit.
John Gibson will get the start on Sunday night while Connor Hellebuck serves as the backup. Now, McLellan said the plan is to play Gibson the entire game, and given Matt Murray's shutout on Thursday, the margin for error will be slim to none if Gibson hopes to make a case for the number 1 job. Kyle Bukauskas, Sportsnet, Quebec City.
And again, we have wall-to-wall action for you tomorrow. Red Sox and Jays, Sportsnet, noon Eastern. Jays with a massive win. They're just 1 game behind the Red Sox. And then it's Team Europe and Team North America, Part 2, this time from the Bell Center in Montreal. Our coverage begins right here, 5:30 Eastern Time. If you listen to some of the answers that Kyle Bukauskas was getting from Team North America, they know that they're not surprising anyone anymore. But I also think they've gained some confidence after that win against Europe. Safe to say they're finding themselves?
Confidence and respect, David. And what started out as this gimmick team all of a sudden is getting some pretty prominent people noticing them and talking about them. I talked to Babcock the other day. He thinks they're the most dangerous team in the tournament. So moving forward here, how do you start managing some early success? That, to me, is going to be the biggest challenge here. It's not like they've got a Chara in the room or a Crosby or a star player to stand up with his experience and say, hey, boys, let's settle down here. The best they've got is maybe Saad.
Yeah.
And he's the only one with a Stanley Cup ring, to your point, Elliot, but that may not be enough.
I think Europe had a disappointing first game. I'm curious to see how they're going to come back. A lot of pride. Kopitar, Chara, guys who've done a lot. I think with a day to re-prepare, I'm very interested in seeing how they play these guys tomorrow night.
This format is all about adjustments. We will find out what adjustments, if any, Team Europe's able to make tomorrow right here on Sportsnet 5:30 Eastern. Plenty coming your way. It's round 2. Canada and the US of A. Braden Holtby will start in net. Jonathan Toews, one of the many stars on Canada as they get set for another battle with the US of A.
But after last night's Canada-US matchup, it's clear the players are all in.
Both teams are going to play with some pride. It's not just any exhibition game for both teams.
Can you just imagine they got to play tomorrow?
It was an old school rivalry renewed, and less than 24 hours later, we're right back at it in the nation's capital. No time for tune-ups. The road to the World Cup has already begun. USA, Canada, next on Sportsnet.
Ah, yes, waving the banner, waving the flag proudly. The nation's capital, the perfect backdrop for Canada versus the U.S. round 2. A sold-out Canadian Tire Center as hockey is back on Saturday night. Thank goodness for that. Last night, the U.S. winning a very physical battle. A 4-2 win in Columbus, which marked the return of Carey Price. Tonight, though, it's a rematch. Let's set the scene, get you out to Ottawa with Christine Simpson.
Well, David, everyone's still buzzing about last night's tilt in Columbus, one of the more exciting exhibition games you'll ever see as we get set for round 2 here tonight. First, we'll go to the changes. Team Canada. Captain Sidney Crosby will sit this one out. Mike Babcock insisting it's just to give him a rest. Corey Perry will draw in. On the blue line, Jake Muzzin is out. Jay Bouwmeester is in. And in net, it'll be Braden Holtby getting the start. He'll share goaltending duties tonight with Corey Crawford for Team USA. It'll be Corey Schneider in net for the first 2 periods. Ben Bishop will take over in the third. And I guess finally the question on everybody's minds is just what impact last night's game will have on these players. And while that remains to be seen, I did run into Team Canada GM Doug Armstrong. He had this to say, said, I know the players' hearts and heads will be into it. It's whether their bodies can keep up. That's the question. David?
All right, so it begs the question, how different will this game look? On the ice, there's certainly some different personnel. Christine Simpson just outlined that, and you say Corey Perry could be a guy who loves this style of play.
Corey Perry in, Sidney Crosby out. Corey Perry in this tournament because Jeff Carter is out suffering an injury in the offseason. And to me, if I'm Corey Perry, I feel slighted by the fact that I wasn't originally on this team. He's been a terrific soldier for Hockey Canada, the gold medals, always there, world championship. I hope tonight he comes out, Elliot, with a little chip on his shoulder because he should have been there. I know it's difficult to name everybody, but he's the one guy that has paid the price.
I don't think it's going to be unusual if Corey Perry comes out with a chip on his shoulder, even if he had been named to the team. Like this, the way that game was played last night, he's going to be right in the middle of it. For me, Team USA, their first shot of the third period was the empty netter. Canada, 12 of the first 13 shots of the game. If I'm part of their brain trust, I'm saying maybe it's good that we stood up to Canada physically, but they skated rings around us for good chunks of that game. Can't depend on your goaltender all the time like that, David.
And with Crosby out, you might be interested in this if you're a Bruins fan. Bergeron, Marchand, and it looks like Tyler Seguin. So that will be an interesting line indeed for Team Canada. We're going to get going. They're introducing the players out at the Canadian Tire Center. In a matter of moments, Dave Randorf, Gary Galley, Christine Simpson will have the call. The players are being introduced at the Canadian Tire Center. Take a look and a listen, some of the atmosphere, and then the national anthems, followed by Dave Randorf, Gary Galley, and Christine Simpson. Enjoy.
Number 27, numéro 27, Alex Pietrangelo. One more time. Number 28, numéro 28, Claude Giroux. Number 37, numéro 37, Patrice Bergeron. Number 39, numéro 39, Logan Couture. Number 44, numéro 44, Marc-Edouard Vlasic. Number 50, numéro 50, Corey Crawford. Number 63, le numéro 63, Brad Marchand. Number 70, le numéro 70, Braden Holtby. Number 77, le numéro 67, Jeff Carter. Number 88, le numéro 88, Brent Burns. Number 91, le numéro 91, Steven Stamkos. And number 97, le numéro 87, Joe Thornton. Mesdames et messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, Team Canada. Please rise, remove your hats, and join Mandia Nancios as she performs the Star Spangled Banner and O Canada. Tonight's colors are presented by the RCMP. Veuillez vous lever et retirer chapeau et casquette. Joignez-vous à Mandia Nancios pour l'interprétation des hymnes nationaux.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Our home and native land, true patriot love in all our sentiments, car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la gloire, ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits conquis par land, glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Good evening, everybody, coast to coast in Canada and watching around the hockey world from the nation's capital. Welcome to the Canadian Tire Centre in Ottawa. Not often there's this much buzz going into an exhibition game, but after last night's meeting in Columbus, safe to say that the Canada-US rivalry is alive and well. Starting netminders, big night for both of these guys. The last time Braden Holtby represented Canada was at an under-18 World Championship in 2007, and he only played 9 minutes in relief. Things have changed since then. He's one of the best in the business. Down at the other end, the last time Corey Schneider wore the Stars and Stripes, also 2007, at a men's World Championship, but he did not play 1 minute in that tournament, and now he's an all-star, and he gets the starting assignment tonight. The referees are Chris Lee and Wes McCauley. The linesmen are Brian Murphy and Johnny Murray. Dave Randorf with you along with Gary Gallius between the benches. And this place is buzzing already after a 4-2 U.S. win last night in Columbus. They're playing on back-to-back nights here as they prepare for the real thing once the World Cup of Hockey begins. John Tortorella is going to start a very physical line right off the bat with Justin Abdelkader and TJ Oshie on the wings, Ryan Kessler in the middle. Getzlaff, Perry, and Tavares start for Canada. Puck bouncing around at center ice. And now it's pushed into the Canadian zone where Holtby comes out of his net to move it around the boards. Here's Tavares. Off to Getzlaff. He shovels a backhand feed near side for his Anaheim teammates. Corey Perry wearing number 24. John Carlson gives it up to Tavares, who puts it back to the line. Controlled by Vlasic. His wrist shot wide of the mark as Canada tries to go to work here early. Big hit on Kessler. That is Tavares who dumped Kessler early. And the temperature rising already. Both teams change. And there is Kessler, who is heading right down the tunnel for a look-see already. Here's Derek Stepan with a puck for the U.S. Puts it towards the net, bounces off of Holtby and then back into the corner. James Van Riemsdyk out of the ice. His first game since January with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And he suffered a broken foot. Back to get it is Eric Johnson back in the line for Team USA. Drew Doughty can't handle that one and escapes, but Canada has the puck. Jay Bouwmeester drifts a shot well wide of the mark. There is Blake Wheeler. He's bumped off the puck by Couture. And now Taves in a puck battle along the wall. Gets it deep down low. Scooped up by Stamkos. Pass in too tight there for Marchand. Up to Stamkos. One-timer. Marchand can't find the handle. Gets it in there. Bouncing puck, and it is cleared by Team USA. Quite the start here so far. 2 minutes into this one.
Let's go.
Alex Pietrangelo to Marchand, gets it in there for his Boston Bruin teammate Patrice Bergeron, who is centering this line tonight because Sidney Crosby is a healthy scratch tonight. That shot right on, rebound, just past the open side of the net, and it's swept away. And now Kane has got the puck. Patrick Kane steps in, flips it towards the net. Holtby steers that one into the corner. Bufflin gets it to Parise. Now Patrick Kane's going to dig that out. The reigning NHL MVP to Joe Pavelski. And that one-timer on the back door almost clipped for Bufflin. Now it's USA with some pressure. That shot is deflected up and over the net. Back to the point they go. Floating, firing right on was Kane. And that rebound is scooped up and cleared by Burns. And Canada's away. Potential 2-on-1 break. Stepping in over the line is Marchand. He's in deep and forced all the way around the net. Back to the point for the one-timer from Weber. And the puck goes into the corner. Three minutes in, no whistles. That pass up to center ice. Corral by Dubinsky goes near side now. Here's Kyle Palmieri. His shot off a stick into the far corner. To the line and held by the Americans. Here's McDonough, the captain of the New York Rangers. Tapped out to center, just out of the reach of Matt Duchene. And sent back in. Here's a quick drive as Holtby just got back in time. And finally we got a whistle.
Well, a good finish there by Weber on Palmieri, and Canada's antsy in here. A shot from Burns, who's playing the left side tonight with Pietrangelo. They were reversed last night. And Marchand, who was the best player on the ice for Canada, with a real good chance. And there's the real solid blow on Ryan Kessler, who lowered the boom in Columbus last night on Shea Weber. Got a 5-minute major and a game ejection for boarding. Canada couldn't muster much on the power play, and John Tavares letting Kessler, who went to the locker room though after that big hit that we remember.
Face-off controlled by the States in the offensive zone. Stepping around, now a wraparound attempt there was Eric Johnson. As mentioned, his first taste of action here. One-time attempt for TJ Oshie, coming off an excellent first season with the Washington Capitals. Now it comes free for the reigning Norris Trophy winner, Drew Doughty. Some people surprised at the physicality of the game last night, but neither coaches were. Gary, were you?
I was not. It doesn't take very long for this to get to 10, and it got to 10 in about 5 minutes.
There's a shot and another stop made by Holtby.
When you look at these two teams playing on a back-to-back nights, you wonder, can they keep this tempo up? And that's going to fall heavily on the goaltenders, because there may be a few more breakdowns, because these guys are in a short, condensed camp, and maybe they're not going to have the energy and the focus they might have. I think both coaches would have liked to have seen a day in between, but it is the way the schedule goes. And for Braden Holtby and Corey Schneider, so far, some good attempts at both ends, 8 shots in total, and some pretty good saves.
5-3 in favor of Team USA. On the shot clock so far. Here's Taves digging that puck free. Now Canada's going to step in with some room. Stamkos back in front. The return feed couldn't find Couture. Good looking chance there. That puck just comes outside the blue line. Some good chances for both squads so far here in the opening 4.5 minutes. Dubinsky bumps his man off the puck, but the Canadians will settle it down while the line change completes. That is Weber.
Well, some changes tonight, and Canada's kind of shuffled the whole deck on their right side. I mean, Crosby comes out of the lineup, Bergeron moves to center, and Seguin to the wing.
And with Seguin up here with Marchand and Bergeron reuniting some Boston Bruins.
You know, and you get the familiarity. You get Corey Perry playing with Ryan Getzlaf, so that's a change on the right side. Stamkos is going to drop down.
Here's a chance, and that was almost a tap-in for Bergeron, but it was broken up there on the quick stick of Pavelski.
I don't mean drop down. I mean he just moves to the Taves line, and at the end of the day, the whole right side gets shuffled as even Thornton moves out of the center position.
Mixing and matching, right? Trying to find that chemistry.
Well, trying to find some comfortability and familiarity for Claude Giroux, who played the right side last night. He moves back into center. It's about trying to see where the players are most comfortable, because you've got all these centermen in your lineup. You've got 11 of them as Ryan Kessler makes his way back to the bench, so there was no doubt he was going to be back in this game. Here's a breakdown on the USA. They were a bit sloppy last night as well, and I think Stamkos should have took that shot, although Logan Couture was pretty upset he didn't get a stick on this. He felt he should have had it. You got a guy who could score 60 goals. You'd like to see him pull the trigger on that. When you get into a tournament like this, you tend to overpass a little bit sometimes with all the good players on your line.
Steven Stamkos about to begin his 9th NHL season and still with Tampa Bay. Here's Jay Bouwmeester. Hammers that puck in, taken off the boards by Ryan Suter. And the U.S. steps out off the stick and right back to Max Pacioretty into the middle. And he is stripped to the puck, and this is quickly turned back. Claude Giroux, he's got a man with him, and Duchesne steps in. Duchesne can't pull the trigger. Bouncing puck, and it swept just wide of the net.
Well, Canada had the bulk of the attempts last night. 23-13 at the end of the day. We're going to have a couple of penalties here out in the neutral zone. You'll remember earlier, Weber took it out on Kyle Palmieri down the corner, and here he gets a little overzealous and draws the penalty.
So we'll sort out the calls when we come back. Time for a television timeout. 13:44 to go. You're watching World Cup of Hockey pre-tournament action. The call is roughing.
Well, the benches used to be across from each other in the day. This never happened much, but as guys go to their benches to change, you get a lot of extracurricular activity, and Kyle Palmieri just gets a little overzealous on Duchesne, and they'll go to the box, and Team Canada will go on the power play. They were 0 for 3 last night with only a couple shots.
And a big chance here. Here's Stamkos, has that puck knocked off of his stick. While Justin Abdelkader was watching him closely. Sent around the near boards. Tavares with a backhand pass. Doughty, Stamkos, slap pass, and did not reach the intended target. Tavares picks it up and rings it around the wall to Stamkos, held in there by Doughty, and they've got the puck back again. Kessler back out there on this penalty kill, gives it up to Stamkos, off the boards and out of the zone.
Well, last night Canada had 2 setups with 4 forwards and 1 defenseman, and they follow suit with that again tonight, just with Drew Doughty on the ice.
Doughty drops it off to John Tavares, high slot, shoots, and that is knocked down in front of the net. Here's Doughty again, shot off a stick and high up and over Corey Schneider.
Once again, I think Stamkos has got to let this puck go. I mean, he's a right-hand shot. He's great at one-timing from that location, and I think he's got a real great attempt at it. Instead, he tries to pass it to the seam, and here you see Getzlaf trying to get in front of Schneider. Most of these goaltenders, they're so good. I mentioned last night, all 6 goaltenders representing the U.S. and Canada are probably in the top 15 in the world, and if you don't get in their vision and take away some of those clear looks at the puck, they're going to stop every single time. And we look at Ben Bishop, who was the only American during the introductions to get some applause, the ex-Ottawa Senator here playing back in Ottawa.
His time was brief, but he got a nice little acknowledgement, and you're right, everybody else got roundly booed. Puck is pulled back into the corner. And with 1 minute to go with the Canadian power play, here's a chance, short-handed, forcing Holtby all the way back. There was Blake Wheeler with his great speed. This one comes up the board. Stepan's up there as well. on this penalty kill.
And again, you know, they look at a guy like Tyler Seguin, who missed a lot of the season with that Achilles tendon injury and then the calf injury. No match for the speed of Wheeler.
Here's Perry. Drops it off to Joe Thornton. Back to Burns. One-timer on the way. That is blocked in front by Eric Johnson. Thornton along the wall. Burns tees up another one-timer far side, and they just can't get that shot. Here's a loose puck, and it is cleared all the way down the ice by Oshie.
I like the shots from Tyler Seguin. Takes the shots and make the U.S. respect that seam one-timer, and then maybe later on you'll be able to find that backdoor seam.
Bergeron floats a pass into the middle in traffic. That's broken up. Parisi's on it, and he is squeezed off the puck as Kyle Palmieri steps out. So USA has killed it off. One shot on net for Team Canada. They're now 0 for 4 on the power play so far. Counting last night as the puck goes up and out of play.
The USA definitely got a lot bigger and a lot grittier, but I'll tell you what, it has not affected their speed that I've seen so far. And here's a look at one of the real roadrunners of Team USA, Blake Wheeler, new captain of the Winnipeg Jets, and Brad Marchand, who I thought was Team Canada's best player last night, along with Patrice Bergeron on that Crosby line. He shows the kind of skill sets that he has. He's got a great set of hands. I know people look at him as more of an agitator, but this guy can play.
Marchand has the most goals from last season in the Canadian lineup with 37.
5 20-goal-plus seasons consecutive. What a heck of a run.
And he certainly had a big year last season, and here he comes again, stepping in. Marchand shoots. Snapshot, handled easily by Schneider. Rebound to Weber, passes down low and across, and Canada pulls it off the wall. That is Giroux. Setting it up here again. Canada with it on a string. Cross-ice speed, looking for Taves. Too hot to handle.
Delayed penalty. Canada's got 6 guys on the ice here, and see if they can't take advantage of it.
Shea Weber slowing things down with a little extra man advantage time. Stamkos drops it off to Weber. Weber with the lead pass. And touched up by the Americans, Dustin Byfuglien, and the call is made.
Well, it looks like there's going to be a high sticking call on Suter, on Claude Giroux, and he had a rough ride last night on a kind of a questionable hit from Pavelski and caught him on the numbers in the corner. It looked like he jarred his back a little bit, and tonight around the net they come, and in comes Giroux, and in the old day you used to get your stick up to protect yourself, and now it gets it up a little high and catches Giroux, and he'll go to the box for 2 minutes or less, and Team Canada gets another crack at the power play. They controlled a lot of the play in the first 10 minutes of the game last night in Columbus and couldn't really get anything on the board, and then it was the USA that turned it on the last 5 minutes of the first period, got a couple of quick goals.
Different power play unit to start this man advantage as well for Mike Babcock. Corey Perry puts it along the wall, and it hops over the stick of Tyler Seguin. There are 3 Sharks on the ice. Canada has 4 San Jose Sharks on its roster. Most of any NHL club. Here's a chance. Shot stopped by Schneider off the end wall, and he jumps on that rebound off the blast from Perry.
Well, Corey Perry was not in the lineup, wasn't even on the team until the injury to Carter, and he stepped in, and right away Mike Babcock had him on some power play units in the practices and scrimmages, and he steps in there and lets a pretty good shot go, which from my vantage point when it took off, I thought it was going to catch that short corner on Corey Schneider, but again, a lot of end zone time for Canada, but they haven't been able to get any really grade A quality chances on Corey Schneider. And you got to give the penalty killers a lot of credit here. Both these countries have excellent penalty killing, excellent face-off men on the penalty kill. They haven't allowed a power play goal in 8 opportunities between the two of them yet.
Wheeler's back out there. He had that shorthanded chance on the last penalty kill. He's got 6 shorthanded goals the last 2 seasons alone. Here's Taves, cross-ice feed, just hit there. On its way by Carlson. And that one is turned over, and it's going to be pushed out of the zone by the USA. Ryan McDonough skates it in, checks around, and then just puts it deep. 1 minute already gone, Gary, in this power play.
The penalty killer's doing a real good job of giving the far-out perimeter shots. Nothing in close to the net, and every time Canada tries to find that seam, that left-hand shot down on that face-off dot to the left of Corey Schneider, a defenseman or a forward with the stick back picks it off.
Shea Weber snaps that puck in there. Into the corner it goes. Thornton keeps it moving. Couture is there, and now it's Perry. Perry tried to get it to Thornton, who was waiting down low, and instead here's a break, and it's James Van Riemsdyk. Van Riemsdyk cuts in out in front, and he can't get a shot away. Good move to the net, and no shot.
He had Jack Johnson with him, and he never even gave him a look.
Here's Perry to Thornton. Thornton down low. Backhander scores! Tucked in by Couture, and it's 1-0 Canada.
It happened last night on a Joe Thornton miss. USA came right down and scored. And tonight, it's Logan Couture. JVR gets this nice break up the side. He never looks over for Johnson at all, who's coming late. He tries to drive to the net. What a great play by Burns. And here they come the other way. Perry to the outside to Thornton. Thornton down to the net, and it's Logan Couture, his teammate in San Jose, who's the recipient of that pass, and he turns around and he fools Corey Schneider with the backhand. Canada, 1-0.
And they finally get a power play goal on their 5th attempt against the Americans over the last couple of nights here.
Always happens that way. You get a real good chance at one end, you can't finish it, they come down and they bury it on you.
Joe Thornton and Corey Perry draw the assists on the goal by Logan Couture, and now another penalty call is made here. It's going to be a trip. And the penalties are starting to pile up here on Team USA. Another Canadian power play coming up when we come back to Ottawa. All against Team USA. This one's to Zach Parise.
Well, it just wears down your team on a back-to-back night, and I think the U.S. just getting sticks and gloves in the wrong places, and Claude Giroux has drawn 2 consecutive penalties. And there's a look at the goal scorer, Logan Couture, played his junior hockey right here in Ottawa for the 67s under Hall of Famer Brian Kilray.
Here's a chance as they set up again. Corey Perry drops it off, and it's sent back to Brent Burns. Burns with a shot stopped by Schneider. Rebound kicked into the corner. Thornton is there, and the Americans trying to get it out, but cannot. Nice little move to drop it down across to Thornton. Thornton to Burns. His blast off the shin pads of Kessler, and it's a race. Trying to get back there with Giroux, and he did. And then Thornton dumps Kessler again. Second time tonight that they've taken a piece out of Ryan Kessler.
And I think everyone on the bench is going to be okay with it. I mean, the tone of this game was set by John Tavares. Okay? He comes out, he lowers the boom on the villain from last night, the guy who took a run at their veteran guy, Shea Weber, and this has been a marked man here. And if you want to set the stage here, he concentrates on Giroux, who was dogging back for the puck. So Kessler's eyesight and all his vision is on Giroux. He's not paying attention to Thornton, who's been coming a long way from the other side of the ice, and he just drops the shoulder and levels him. For Kessler, it's an even-up situation. He'll take the hit to make that play every time. For Canada, it's about sticking up for Shea Weber after the hit last night.
A little bit of that, little measure of revenge for sure, but they're going to have to hit it. Kessler a whole lot more to take him off of his game.
You're absolutely right.
If anything, that just fires him up even more. But it's a great subplot as we go forward. These two teams are in the same round-robin group together. And they will both play each other in their second of 3 round-robin games. Now here's a break. Stamkos busted in, shoots! Oh, it almost trickled past. Schneider reaches back and keeps it out off of Steven Stamkos.
This is the 4th break outnumber attack that Canada's had on the USA here in the first 12 and a half minutes of the first period. They've had a couple of 2-on-1s, and they've had a couple of loose breaks, one by Duchesne and this one by Stamkos. And he waits for it, and he gets the bounce, a good bounce, and he picks it up. He gets it settled down pretty good before he shoots. But at the end of the day, it's Corey Schneider with a real big save for the U.S., keeping it at 1-0 here.
Still 4-on-4. Getzlaf lost that draw cleanly to Derek Stepan.
John Tortorella is not happy with what's going on here right now for Team USA. Way too much room.
Here's Oshie, but they are offside. Or no, there's a penalty call. It's going to be an interference call.
Right at the blue line, you're going to see Jay Bouwmeester go down. And Derek Stepan, who iced it last night with that empty net goal, he's not happy with the call at all, the interference call, which is going to put Canada on a 4-on-3 for About 53 seconds on the Parise penalty, and there you see Oshie coming across the middle of the ice, and when he cuts across, there you see Bouwmeester already down on the ice. And we'll have a look right there as Bouwmeester just loses his footing. I think this is a bad call. I don't think Stepan touches him at all. I agree with Derek Stepan here. I don't think that was a good call. But the referee saw it in real time, and it's tough to tell sometimes.
Toews wins the draw against Kessler. Here's Tavares with a drive and a glove stop made by Schneider, and he holds on for the faceoff to his left.
Gotta love those stars and striped pads on Corey Schneider when he came out. Those are something special. John Tavares with a real good look at a one-timer here, and what a season Corey Schneider's had. Here's a guy who just does not get a ton of run support in New Jersey. He only gets about 2.08 goals for a game. And this guy produces wins, and his save percentage is off the charts.
John Tavares, one-timer on the way, right on the mark. Schneider handles that one off the stick of Stamkos again. There's Tavares. Taking a look around, creeps along the sidewall, toe drag, can't shoot, and gets it back to the point for Doughty. There's Doughty, back to Tavares. Tavares puts it down low, cross-ice pass from Toews, looking for Stamkos to the back door. Stamkos creeps out to the middle, one-timer, Tavares, scores! Bank shot, and they'll take it, 2-0.
Penalty trouble for the U.S. Whether you like the calls or not, you're on the road. You're in Canada's home barn, and you're giving them ample opportunity to run at you here. And this is a 4-on-3 where Tavares, I think he's looking to pass. This is a pass. He's looking for the back door all the way. Stamkos to Tavares, and they're trying to go right on that back door. And at the end of the day, it caroms off the skate of Ryan McDonough and then finds its way through Corey Schneider. USA was up 2-0 after the first period last night. Canada 2-0 here in Ottawa.
And it's 4-on-4. Here's Marchand trying to fight his way in there. He was one-on-one with Bufflin, and Canada has it right back. Under control, Weber throws it across, and Bergeron in the corner. Canada's about to get some more power play time as well here. Already with a 2-0 lead. As they announced the goal by John Tavares, the captain of the Islanders. Here's Suter. His drive. Oh, that one almost took a favorable bounce for the U.S. and missed to the far post. Here's Bufflin. Dustin Bufflin, toe drag, still with a puck behind the net, puts it out in front, loose, and snapped high and wide by Suter.
Well, the one thing you do if you're the USA taking all these penalties is the one guy who you don't see very much is 88.
Look out, and there he is. And now it is a Canadian power play again for 20 seconds as they gain the zone. Return feed in for Perry, goes into the corner. There's a hit by Wheeler on Couture, and it comes free for Oshie. Oshie's going to leave it for his Capitals teammate, John Carlson. Knocked down by Couture, and he almost fit Thornton here on the near side. Stepan steps out, and we're back to 5-on-5 for now with just over 5 minutes to go in what's been another entertaining first period.
Patrick Kane was the story last night. He was one of the top USA players, had the puck on his twig many a times performing his usual magic. Tonight he spent a lot of the first period on the bench watching the USA killing penalties.
See what he has to say going forward here. Here comes Max Pacioretty. Pacioretty snaps a shot, and Hope made the stop, and it caroms off his blocker and out of play. 2-0 Team Canada in the first period in Ottawa.
We got our second look at Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid, Jack Eichel, and Team North America taking on Team Europe. Our coverage starts 5:30 Eastern. Back to Ottawa.
2-0 Team Canada here the first period. A lineup that does not include Sidney Crosby tonight, Gary.
Yeah, and no injury. I think just an opportunity to give Sidney Crosby a rest. They're going to be calling on him quite a bit here as this thing moves forward. Long season for Sidney Crosby. Won the Stanley Cup, so a lengthy season for him. So the opportunity to give him a night off, give him a little rest, and keep his batteries fully charged. I think they know what he can do.
Yeah, he's on the team. Jake Muzzin is the other guy who comes out of the lineup on the backside for Mike Babcock.
I liked him last night. You know that? I thought he was one of the D for Canada that played very, very consistent last night. I think Pietrangelo was their best defenseman, and he was playing on his offside.
Here's Getzlaf, throws it out in front, scores! Jay Bouwmeester!
Late additions to this roster. When you look at Corey Perry and Jay Bouwmeester coming in for injured players, Duncan Keith and Carter, and they played really well so far in this game. Great job by Getzlaf, one of Canada's best forwards last night. I thought he was in the top 3 players for Canada, made some real good dig-outs, and right here he digs the puck off the wall. He's a big guy, hard to contain. Jack Johnson loses that battle, and the forwards don't pick up Bouwmeester coming off the point. What a great opportunity, and he made no mistake.
There was a time when Jay Bouwmeester was a very offensive-minded defenseman. He could really shoot. He took a lot of shots, and he's kind of changed his game over the last several years. More of a defensive guy now, but that was a good release, and he buried it, and it's 3-0.
A lot of people talked about why wasn't it Letang, why wasn't it Subban. It was a left-hand shot. Babcock likes that. At the same time, familiarity with Doug Armstrong, familiarity with Sochi, with Babcock. He knows what he's going to get. And a world-class skater, no doubt about that. He can fly.
And has represented Canada on many occasions. Here is Holtby, who's now got a 3-goal lead. And he does not need that much of a lead. Here's McDonough with a shot into traffic. They score. All kinds of bodies in front of Holtby, and that one somehow finds its way in, and the Americans are on the board.
Well, I don't think Holtby even saw this puck, Dave. I think it's over the top of him before he even realizes it, and he's going to have a look at it here as well. And Canada has the puck twice. Weber loses it off the stick. Burns can't get to it, so he just chips it. And this puck hits, I'm not sure if it hits Weber out high. It looks like it may go off his skate and stick. It goes up into the air, and I don't think Holtby sees this thing. He's trying to track it, and it just finds its way into the back of the net. You hate to see your team have the puck on their stick in full possession and end up turning it over and picking it out of the back of your net.
53 seconds after Bouwmeester scored. We'll see who gets credit for that goal. The Americans are on the board, and it's 3-1 with just over 3 minutes remaining in this first.
Should be Ryan McDonough,
I would think. Here's a loose puck. Swatted aside. And they do give Ryan McDonough the goal. You're exactly right. Here is Parise. Zach Parise. Byfuglien goes across, and that pass was too high for Kane. Byfuglien to Kane once upon a time teammates in Chicago.
They're Stanley Cup champions. I think he was patrolling the wing back then, though.
He was. He was. And we get another call here. It's going to be interference, and this one is going against Canada. So now the Americans, having just scored, get their first power play of the night.
Well, Jay Bouwmeester is going to get called for interference. At one time, I thought maybe JVR had got his hands up and clipped him on the side of the head. Watch JVR's hand as he cuts across. There's no doubt it's interference. There you get that little backhand rub on the back of the helmet. So I thought maybe they might both be going, but the call is on Bouwmeester. It's the right call. When that puck gets dumped by you, and that's a strategy of all forwards now. It's hard to get around these big rangy defensemen. So what you do is you got all that speed behind you, is don't lose it, chip it off the wall, make him turn, and if he doesn't turn, he's got to hold you up, and you draw the penalty. 2:26 to go. We'll see if the U.S. can tighten up this difference here.
They were 0 for 4 last night with the man advantage.
So the thing that happens, Dave, is they got such good centermen taking these draws. They're winning 60% of the draws when they're shorthanded. So right away possession, right away the puck goes down the ice. 20 seconds to get it back in the zone. And USA, they just haven't got it back yet. Now it comes off a one draw by Canada. Jonathan Toews leads the league in shorthanded faceoffs this year at about 59%.
Ryan Suter's pass on the tape, and it ends up back here near side with Patrick Kane. And that one drifts up and out of play into the netting. Play whistle down.
Well, Patrick Kane, what a season he has had. First American to win the Art Ross Trophy. Also won the Hart Trophy, and there was no mistake there. What a fabulous season he laid down this year, and a real coming into his own as a leader. I think John Tortorella and the coaching staff here and the management team have asked him to be more of a leader. And I think he's up to the challenge.
The first U.S.-born scoring champ in the NHL. He had 17 more points than Jamie Benn.
Well, Dean Lombardi called him in August and said there's a difference between playing well and playing to win in these best-on-best tournaments, and he agreed.
Here's Van Riemsdyk. He puts it around the wall where it was trapped by Oshie. Oshie still battling for it, gets it away. Palmieri with a hard drive, and that did not miss by much. Chance here for the Americans to tighten things back up again. 44 seconds to go, the man advantage. They quickly turn it back inside the line, and another penalty call is made.
Got too many men on the ice, possibly.
Red. Bench minor penalty, too many men on the ice.
There was a lot of red jerseys. It was a sea of red coming off the bench, and we'll have a look here. On the left side of your screen, look at all the players. There's 6 right there. Yeah, it's gonna get. They're not gonna miss that now. And with 1 minute and 6 seconds to go, they're gonna have 40 seconds of 5-on-3 for the USA, and an opportunity to really cut this lead that was once 3-0 for Canada, and really skiing downhill all the way. Big opportunity for the U.S. here.
Pavelski trying to pull that puck back, and he does. 12 power play goals for him last season. And he's got the puck to Suter. Ryan Suter back to Pavelski into the corner, gives it back to Suter. Took a look across, and his pass ends up with Patrick Kane. Here is Kane taking a look, throws it across, bounces away from Pavelski, goes to get it, works it back to Suter. Here's Bufflin, loads up, then passes down low, cross ice speed. Pavelski in too tight. Sharp angle, could not get it to go, and is that? No, it was tipped on the way out. No call against Canada.
Well, referee right there makes the call as Vlasic tries to clear it out of harm's way, and there's a lot of sticks in the way there, so I think it's the right call. Good movement by the U.S., but I think overpassing a little bit. You'd like to see some guys take the shots there. Bufflin's got that real rocket from the backside. They don't have him in a one-timer position, though. They've got him in a forehand position. Boy, I'd like to see him teed up from the top of the circle there.
Oh, he had the shooting line, didn't he?
Yeah, they're going to switch them up now. He's going to play on that right side, hopefully.
Final 30 seconds. Here comes Kane trying to dance his way in, and that is not happening right there against the reigning Norris Trophy winner. Another call coming up here against Canada. Here's Kane again. Puts it back to Suter. And there's one off the post, heard loud and clear around this building. 6 seconds to go, more pressure from the U.S. Out of the corner, Kane. Are they going to get one more shot? No, they are not. No buzzer beater, but now, just like the Americans got into penalty trouble, they're starting to pile up for Canada as there's some pushing and shoving going on now.
Well, good job by Canada to not let another one go into the back of the net here and get a little reprieve and a little rest and slow things down as they're taking a lot of penalties. Their Doughty gives the first push, and I think the first push he was going to get away with, but the second one, no chance. Another penalty for Canada.
So with that, an entertaining 20 minutes is in the books here at the Canadian Tire Center. Canada with a 2-goal lead over USA.
Entertaining to say the least, and the depth of Canada on display in that first period. Jay Bouwmeester replaces Duncan Keith. He scores a goal. Corey Perry replaces Jeff Carter. 2 assists for him. And Logan Couture replaces Jamie Benn. He scores as well. Canada with the 3-1 lead after 20 minutes. John Tavares also getting in on the act. A little luck off the skate of Ryan McDonough. We will get Nick and Elliot's thoughts on the first coming up next. World Cup of Hockey. Up the following night. John Tavares, big first period, big hit, big goal, standing by with Christine Simpson.
Well, the penalty box was a pretty busy place in that period, John. Canada's power play went 0 for 3 in the game last night, though. What's helped it click for you guys tonight?
I think it's just playing another game, It's been a few months since last night, so just kicking off some of the rust, and the more we get out, the more we get familiar with one another and the setups and looks we want to have. So got some good opportunities early, and we created a lot of chances, and nice to capitalize.
Speaking of getting familiar, you got things started with the big hit on Ryan Kesler tonight. Is it safe to say he's got a bit of a target on his back, perhaps?
You're just trying to set up the game the right way. You want to be physical in the forecheck, and he just so happened to be the guy. So, of course, a guy like him, he wants to play as hard as he does. We're not going to back down. We're going to stand our ground, and we want to initiate the play.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Just trying to set up the game the right way. Elliot Friedman, Nick Kypreos. Pretty prophetic words there, because it was that hit Tavares on Kesler that really set the tone for that first period, don't you think?
Well, Tavares wasn't taking the bait. Christine there did a great job asking that right away, but he didn't smile. He just played it straight. But everybody knows what they're referring to, and that was the play last night with Kesler on Shea Weber that really got him ejected from the game last night and set a huge tone. And right away, we were wondering how this game would be officiated. We were wondering how hard they would come out. And we learned quickly. Tavares went right after Kesler, who temporarily went back to the room. And then you're going to see another angle. But at the other end of the ice, Shea Weber and Kyle Palmieri. And watch Palmieri. He's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then he takes a penalty. And I thought the Americans kind of became unglued. They're like, we have to come back and answer what Canada's doing on the first couple of shifts. And the next thing they know, they've given up a couple of power play goals and they're down 3-0. Nick, we talked in the pregame about the difference between the two games. Last night, there were 31 penalty minutes. We're at 16 already in this game. And one thing we've seen between Canada and the U.S. historically is that when they play on the North American ice in an NHL kind of game, the penalty minutes go up.
Without a doubt. And we know that because the number on average in 1996, when these guys played, were averaging 45, 50 penalty minutes. Yeah. And go to the Olympics, and there's just a different style of hockey internationally when it comes to either the NHL style or the Olympic style. Much more conservative. They don't tend to push the envelope when it's the Olympics. We never see scrums like this in the Olympics. This is McCulloch here and Emelin going at it. 1 punch, 2 punch, 3 punches, 4. It doesn't matter. Now, listen, you could sit there and argue what's better, what's worse, what do you like better in international hockey, but these guys have made it clear that this is more the feel of perhaps that first round in the NHL playoffs. Well, they'll go after each other, not necessarily drop the gloves for fighting, but the rest of it, the scrums. Everything seems to be a lot more personal when it comes to an NHL-styled international hockey tournament.
Guys, really quickly, is there a home ice advantage here? Because if that's the case, Canada's going to love the fact that all the real tournament games are going to be played at the Air Canada Centre, because if Canada holds on, it's going to be 7-0 for home teams thus far.
I don't know how you can't think that there's going to be an advantage, Elliot. Canadian soil throughout the whole tournament, absolutely.
Yeah, meanwhile, we talked about the history of Dubinsky and Crosby a little bit before last night's game. What about Thornton and Kesler? There's something there, isn't there?
Well, there's a bit of a history there. And tonight, Kesler, obviously a target, and Thornton took a penalty. And if you saw the Canadian bench, when Thornton was going off the ice, they were giving it to Kesler pretty hard. That's a clear penalty, but I don't think anybody in Canada who saw it is going to say, we have a huge problem with him doing this. They want to get some revenge. And here, this is 2011, the first game of the Western Conference Final. Thornton says to Kesler, want to fight? And Kesler said, no, you know what, I want to play. So there's a long history between these two guys. Obviously, Kessler's now in Anaheim, too. They have not hesitated to send messages to each other over the years, and another message tonight sent by Thornton to one of his fiercest opponents.
Part of Canada's success is sometimes having players come into this situation and play roles that they're not accustomed to. Tavares sending a message to Kesler in the first period. Yeah. How good was that?
Yeah, Brad Marchand, everyone says he's the most hated guy in the league. Maybe Ryan Kessler's right there in a 1-2 vote.
If you play with them, you love them. If you
play
don't,
against
you
them,
hate them.
It's not fun. Tomorrow's going to be fun, though, on the Sportsnet family of networks. Blue Jays and Red Sox, first place in the AL East on the line there. Team Europe, Team North America will be back 5:30 Eastern to set that one up. You can catch it all on Rogers NHL Game Center Live. We'll be talking Pride of Canada. Why is it so important to put on that Canadian sweater? We'll talk about it. Canada's hockey resume, it is unmatched. Defending World Cup champions and two-time defending world and Olympic champions. Trying to explain Canada's success internationally, it's not easy, but one look at the Maple Leaf might help.
playing for one's country is always an honor, but being chosen to play hockey for Canada is a special distinction, an acknowledgement that you're among the best of the best. It's an honor steeped in history. Before they were hockey heroes themselves, today's players were looking up to the generation that came before.
My favorite hockey memory growing up, probably as a kid watching Team Canada play, was when they won with the gold medal at the Olympics in was Salt Lake.
I was with a lot of my minor hockey teammates, and we watched it all together.
I remember Sakic's goal like it was yesterday.
You do hear about people, either skipping class or calling in sick to work, whatever it is, to catch the game.
I remember getting out of school, out of class, to watch the games because some of them were on during the day, so we got out of class to watch in the gymnasium.
Well, you have great memories of watching growing up, and then as you start playing, it's always been unbelievable. So it just gets better and better, and every event it's so special to get to put that on.
Olympics, playing in your home country, playing hockey, it was an incredible moment. You can't really come up with a comparison for that. I mean, it's the ultimate level, the ultimate stage, playing for a gold medal against the Americans in the final, and doing it at home in a city like Vancouver where the entire country was watching.
Always dreaming of playing for Canada, not ever knowing if you'd ever actually have the chance to play in Canada in the Olympics. And be able to, to score an overtime winner, that's pretty special.
Sidney Crosby, the golden goal!
No matter how many times one dons a sweater with the nation's crest, the pride of honoring their country never gets old.
It doesn't matter what the competition is. I think it's always about representing your country to the fullest and making sure you do it with a lot of pride.
When you play for Team Canada, you've got a team full of stars like this, you have to check your ego at the door.
It really doesn't seem as if it's actually happening. You put the jersey on, you kind of get chills down your body.
When you play in Canada, you have 30 million plus people behind you. Just the pride of the country. Everybody's watching. It's our game.
The memories you have of watching some of the greats do it, you can't really take that away. So I try and take that into the locker room every time, and you still get goosebumps every time you first go into that room and you see your jersey hanging there.
Nothing like Canadian pride, and Jay Bouwmeester, who was a member of the Gold World Cup team in 2004. Canada with a 3-1 lead, but the U.S. starts the period 5-on-3. Let's see how it shakes out. Dave Randorf, Gary Galley, Christine Simpson have the call from Ottawa. Enjoy the second period. We'll see you after 40.
Back at the Canadian Tire Center, all set to go here for the second period, a period that will begin with a 5-on-3 man advantage for Team USA for 54 seconds. Drew Doughty taking an interference penalty at the end of the first. Joe Thornton already in there serving the too many men penalty. And right away the play is whistled down.
Well, Canada took advantage of some penalty trouble that the Americans got into and scored a couple of power play goals, their first 2 power play goals of the preseason, so to speak. These exhibition games, and for the USA to get back in this game, they're going to try to do the same thing right here to Canada, as they got quite a bit of time to work with here.
Patrice Bergeron comes in to take this draw. He won one of just 6 draws in the first period, which is odd for him, the guy who had the most face-off wins in the NHL last season. Team USA steps in and they will set up. Here is Dustin Byfuglien. Comes across now to John Carlson. Carlson across, one-timer that caught the outside of the net. Off the glass, Carlson down, keeps it in. Carlson puts it back into the corner. Gets the return feed, goes back and forth now with Kane. Kane across, one-timer, scores! Carlson buries it, a beauty. And it's a 1-goal game, and they are still on the man advantage.
Really nice movement by the Americans, and they're really patient too. Pavelski gets a real good look at a one-timer, and really he's going to score more often than not on these. Then they get it back, Kane settles it down, back up top, and then you're going to watch Byfuglien make the switch here. He switches with Carlson, and Carlson just rolls himself into the one-timer. Everyone thinks it's going back to Byfuglien for the big boomer, and instead he splits the seam over to Carlson, and he rips it into the net. Nice setup by Patrick Kane.
John Carlson, who struggled with injuries in the second half of last season. Back here, healthy, ready to contribute, and he's got his team back within 1.
You know, it's important that you have that kind of movement and you get your body in the right position to take the one-timer as quickly as possible, because goaltenders get across the crease so fast now. They're so big, their movement is so good. Pass has got to be hard. Kane can't put it through there soft. It's got to be firm, and you got to pick it clean, and Carlson does a good job of doing that. We've seen a couple of D-men get in on the scoring tonight. First Bolmeister, and now John Carlson.
He's a talented offensive defenseman, and Braden Holtby is well aware of that. His teammate in Washington, there's a clear that does not get out. Now Stepan drops it off for Oshie. Oshie creeps into the corner, throws it in front. It bounces into the corner, hammered off the boards and past Suter. And down the ice with 1 minute to go in the 5-on-4 now for Team USA.
Anytime you ask these players when they're shooting on their goaltender from their respective teams, you go, do you know his tendencies? They go, I can't even score on him in practice, let alone in a game. So they'll have a good chuckle over this. The stakes aren't so rich.
Stepan snaps it, does not get to the net, blocked by Pietrangelo. He banks this one off the boards and Getzlaf does the rest, and now here comes Marchand. The speedster in there against Suter. Knocked off his skates, penalty call coming up.
We've seen a lot of these collisions close to the boards, and we watched Tyler Seguin go in feet first last night in Columbus when they had a bit of a collision close to the boards. Marchand tracks his puck down. Suter's not the quickest of foot, but what he does is he makes his angle good. He gets on a 45 and he gets on that track where he knows Marchand may get to the puck, but he's not going to get to the net. Good job by Suter, and it's just a slight shove. Not really enough to knock him down, but I think Marchand was getting ready to jam on the brakes, and the skate came off the ice and down he went.
And it is enough to obviously end the power play. So 4-on-4 now for 32 seconds, and then it will be Canada back on the power play. Here's a face-off win by Bergeron. And this one comes around near side for Vlasic. Duchesne is pinned by McDonough, and Carlson comes in to help out and scoops the puck out. Up to center, Pavelski resets, and a couple of Americans bump into each other momentarily. Kane gets it back to McDonough. Patrick Kane drawing the assist on the Carlson goal. Has to reach back for that one. Nifty little move, and he's off. Doughty steps out of the box. So Canada now with the man advantage. Kane's wrist shot blocked by Weber. And now the Canadians get another power play chance. They're 2 for 4 tonight. And Doughty's got the puck. Drops it off for Getzlaf. And it's sent right back down where Holtby traps it up. Puts it to open ice. Abdelkader is there. Abdelkader grinding away and content just to take some more time off the clock.
Well, we saw the 5-on-5 action. The first 5 minutes of this game was outstanding. Tempo high. With all these power plays and penalty killing going on for both these teams, it's really taken some of the tempo out of it.
Here's Wheeler now. Blake Wheeler in the corner in tight quarters to Oshie. His shot goes up and over the shoulder of his Capitals teammate. And now it's picked up by Tavares. Tavares has got one of the goals tonight for Canada. Nice move there by Taves to get it deep. Keeps moving, but it ends up with Eric Johnson, and down it goes. I would imagine the coaches are quite happy to at least get some special teams time to prepare for the tournament, right?
Well, you got to work on everything, and it's I don't think it's so much about the wins and losses. They want to win every game they play, but this is a process they're both in, these teams, and it's about getting ready for the tournament when it starts in about a week. So getting all this extra work, like you said, give the coaches some video to look at and some instruction to go through with their players.
Here comes Couture, drops it off for Thornton, who was calling for it. Now Thornton gets it back to Vlasic. His drive off the end wall, a hard blast. They try to center it, and all kinds of white jerseys there to clear it. Teams back at even strength. We've not had a lot of 5-on-5 play the last 10 to 12 minutes or so of game time. Jack Johnson dumps it back into the Team Canada zone. 4 minutes gone. USA has scored on the power play. John Carlson with the goal to make it 3-2. And the 3-0 lead is gone. Here's Bergeron. Working against Carlson, and Carlson works him over along the end board. Giroux gets it back to Pietrangelo. Here's Weber, low, shoots right on, rebound! And they couldn't find it. Over there to Giroux, he was right there. Good chance, bodies to the net. Marchand, late man, Bergeron, his shot up high and snared and held by Schneider.
Well, Canada did a really remarkable job of killing off those penalties, especially a couple of 5-on-3s, and they've got themselves a 1-goal lead still, which is pretty good. And here they go right back to the offense, a shot and rebound, and USA is a little bit guilty of letting the Canadian players get in and infiltrate behind them. There you see Marchand, Giroux both in behind the defenseman, and when you're in front of the D-man, you get first access to all those rebounds, so the defense of the U.S. are going to have to do a better job of boxing out.
Taves loses that try. He was a perfect 7 for 7 in the first period. There's Logan Couture forcing Ryan Suter, and this one is going to be icing.
Well, the United States had the big win last night, and I think for John Tortorella, and in talking to him before the game, I mean, he was happy with the win, but he felt his team was a bit sloppy. He felt there was a lot of room for improvement, but the one thing he was totally pleased with was the intensity and the work ethic of his hockey team, and that's the thing that's got to be automatic. And the other stuff will come with a couple exhibition games and some video and some practices, and then hopefully it'll all come together. And the same for these guys. I mean, they all know each other so well. They've played in these best-of-best tournaments before. It's just about reacclimating and getting some reps together and moving into some maybe unfamiliar positions, especially for a lot of these centermen playing on the wing for Canada.
And in behind the play on that, there was a puck battle going down the ice, and I believe they're going to take both guys. I know Pavelski was in on that one, and yeah, I believe Tavares is going with him. Or is it just John Tavares?
Well, just one gate right now, but I'm not sure if they're going to come over and pull Pavelski or not. Tavares is asking why just him. Tavares reaches out on Pavelski to hold him up, but then Pavelski turns around and gives him the shot, and I think that's why you thought both of them. And you're right, Dave. Here comes Pavelski now. He's going to join him, and that's the right call. A tit for tat, and either don't call it at all or call them both and drop it and go again. I mean, certainly the specialty team work in this game, there's been a ton of it. That's kind of taken away that 5-on-5 rhythm that was so good last night in the earlier part of this game. And at the end of the day, I think Canada with the 3-2 lead, this is all about learning how to play with a lead, doing the right things. We're going to see a little 4-on-4 here.
Kessler directing traffic for this offensive zone draw against Getzlaf, his teammate. And Getzlaf pulls that back clean. Leaves it for Shea Weber. Weber is going to see a whole lot more of this building now that he's in the same division.
Crazy, you look at Team Canada, all 7 of their defensemen are from the West.
Here's a chance for Vlasic, and the tip in front off the stick of Giroux and wide. One of those Western Conference defensemen, Vlasic, trying to make something happen there, Gary.
Yeah, I mean, almost a fortuitous bounce off Kessler's skate there. I mean, Weber is now in the East, but when they built this team and scouted them, all 7 from the Western Conference.
And now he's in a battle along the end boards with Kessler. Oshie comes in there to help out. He's tripped up. Getzlaf rolls towards the net, but it's picked up by Canada. Out to Giroux, who turns this one over, threw it right back. And they could not step in with TJ Oshie. Good pressure here right now by the Americans. That one hops off a stick, and now Canada's able to skate it out. Claude Giroux stops up, floats it towards the net. That is knocked down. Long stretch pass for Kane. Very familiar with that play. They love that play in Chicago. Here's Bouwmeester, who's got one of the Canadian goals. Right now, it is the go-ahead goal.
A lot of these passes in the neutral zone for both these teams are getting picked off. A couple of extra steps and put the puck in the zone. Get some forechecking going. They're trying to make these cute passes through the middle of the ice, and it's just a parking lot there.
And that was a pass that bounced off of skates right into Holtby. He'll hang on, and we will take a break. You are watching the World Cup of Hockey pre-tournament coverage. Big crowd here at the Canadian Tire Center in Ottawa. The real thing starts 1 week from tonight. This is pre-tournament action, and the games around North America so far and in Europe for the warm-up, the tune-up games, Gary, have been pretty entertaining.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we were so entertained last night, and the North American team really showed that a little bit of youth and exuberance can go a long way as they took down Team Europe. So I'm really looking forward to seeing when it's playing for keeps.
We'll see that Team North America again tomorrow night at the Bell Center in Montreal. Here's Bouwmeester, centers the pocket that got past everybody, and it's picked up by Davinsky. Davinsky's pass ends up with Doughty. He's being watched there by Wheeler. Spins it back, turns it over. Byfuglien loads, shoots, and getting down and blocking it was Bouwmeester because Byfuglien was on the ladies' tee there.
Well, a sloppy play from Doughty. What he thought was a wide-open player didn't realize Byfuglien was stepping up, and Doughty makes a little spin. He tries to lay it back across, and Byfuglien reads it. Nice read and walks right in, and Bouwmeester with a goal tonight and a big block has looked really good. I think the players that have come into the lineup tonight, you look at how Perry's played and how Bouwmeester played. And you get your foot in the door and get it open. Don't let it shut, and both those guys have played extremely well.
Pulled back, Carlson taps it to open ice. Sent in, and that almost redirected on the near side. Players grind it out in the corner. That bounced away from Seguin. Here is Thornton using a big frame to protect the puck. Up the wall and gets it back. And over to Alex Pietrangelo. Good pass, and they're in. Seguin in front looking for Duchesne, and he tipped it just wide. Couple of passes and a great chance. Here's Thornton in front again. Seguin stick tied up by Pacioretty. Still battling, and it comes to the near boards.
Line juggling from Mike Babcock. Seguin Duchesne has had a hard time getting things going, so he's thrown Thornton between them.
There's a shot, stopped by Schneider, and it comes free for the U.S. Flip to the line, Pacioretty. His pass is out of the reach of Kessler's at the end of a shift.
When you have a couple of players that just don't seem to be getting going, you can't just leave them sitting stagnant. Try to find a different combination. And for Coach Babcock, he throws Big Joe Thornton in the middle of these two guys. And you know what? I think it's the best shift these two guys have had so far on these two games. Seguin tries to find Duchesne drive into the net, which he does so well. He's got that great speed. Thornton digs it out. And he's got Seguin out in the slot, and he gets another really good chance. So hopefully they'll maybe keep those guys together and try to grow from that. Those two guys are fantastic players, and you know they've got what it takes. It's just a matter of getting in their groove, and they haven't been able to really get it going yet, but that was a sign of good things right there. And
timeout taken by Team USA. And you know, to your point, these guys on Team Canada, on both teams for that matter, they know, like in Canada's case, Crosby's coming back in the lineup. Somebody's coming out.
Yeah, and the way Corey Perry's played tonight, and if he continues to play this way, I don't think it's going to be him. And he was a late ad for Jeff Carter. And for the U.S., you know, you look at a guy like Max Pacioretty, who started up on that line with Kane and Pavelski, and in about a period and a half, he was all the way down with Dubinsky on that fourth line. I mean, and he's kind of moved back up here with Applicator and Kessler, but both coaches are moving guys around, trying to find combinations to make all four lines effective. Not an easy thing to do.
So after the necessary timeout for Tortorella to give his guys a rest to face off his one, there's a shot, reaches the net, kicked out by Schneider. Of those snazzy stars and stripes pads, you're right, they look great even from way up here. And that one goes off of Weber's stick, and look out, that was Barry Trotz ducking for cover.
Well, in the playoffs last year, we saw Jack Capuano take one on the bench and had to leave the bench, and he was fairly fortunate there. And you got Barry Trotz and Claude Julien standing about a couple of feet apart. The two of them are having a chuckle now, but I'll tell you, that thing left Weber's stick, and as soon as it caught the top of the stick, he was yelling. You could hear him yelling, it heads up right away, and luckily it did not hit any of those gentlemen. I'm sure it wouldn't be the first time.
Capuano is here, part of the U.S. staff. That snapshot goes off of the shins of Eric Johnson. Big body gives Couture a bump. And Canada trying to get something going here. Pass back to the point, deflected up and out of play. And that face-off's coming back inside the blue line.
I told Jack yesterday when I saw him, I said, I like you better standing up than lying down. That was one heck of a puck he took in the playoffs. As Team USA slowing it down. I think Canada has played a lot in their end. I think it's been pretty good for Canada as a big bounce back after killing all those penalties and getting guys back in the groove. Remember, not every guy kills penalties, so you're missing shifts, you're missing your rhythm, so now it's time to play some 5-on-5, get some guys back in the action, get your lines back together.
Marchand a little anxious there. Gets back into position. They drop the puck, and it's sent down the ice. But David Backett's gone to Boston. Alex Pietrangelo, as Gary mentioned earlier, the new captain in St. Louis. And he's got the puck right now, trying to step in. Here is Pietrangelo looking around, shoots, looking for a pass down low, and a tip from Bergeron, and he just missed. There's Marchand again. His drive whistles over the net. Takes a bounce outside the line. Here's James Van Riemsdyk, and he almost stepped into the puck rolled away from him. Crowd not happy with the snow job he gave Holtby there, although I think he missed him with most of it, didn't he?
I think so as well. And again, some more line juggling for Team Canada and Mike Babcock. One of those other players I would throw in there with Seguin Duchesne is Claude Giroux. He hasn't been able to get much going, so what he's done, he's moved him on that line with Bergeron and Marchand, a line that's been going really well. And here's Pietrangelo trying to find Bergeron going to the back door. He had 8 shots on net last night. That line, Sidney Crosby line, had 18 shots. And to put that into perspective, one line had 18 shots, all 12 of the U.S. forwards had 19. So that shows you how good that Crosby line was last night.
And how good Jonathan Quick was.
Early, real early. He kept them out of harm's way.
Ben Bishop, we do expect to see him tonight, as well as Corey Crawford. In a backup relief role here to get some action, and USA is offside, entering the zone.
Well, at the halfway mark, I do believe we're going to see Corey Crawford, and that was what Mike Babcock talked about, splitting this game. And as true to form, as we look at Corey Crawford, the 2-time Stanley Cup champion with the Chicago Blackhawks, real low pulse too. When you look at him and Carey Price and Holtby, when you talk to them, when you see them around their team, just very low pulse guys. They don't get too fired up. So when all chaos is around them, the one thing you can count on is they're going to settle it down.
And as you talk about him, he is putting his mask on and standing up and getting ready to come into the game.
Well, true to form for the U.S., they're going to give 2 periods to Schneider, and then we'll see Ben Bishop like we did last night. Bishop's going to hope, though, he's not jumping over the boards into a 5-on-3, and Sidney Crosby coming down Main Street on him. That happened last night in Columbus.
That pass into the skates, and now the outlet to Eric Johnson. Sidesteps the check from Getzlaf. On Getzlaf, moves it along the boards, and here comes John Tavares with some numbers. Tavares steps in, drops it back, Bouwmeester fans Tavares, rebound, and Schneider with the glove covers up and holds on. So Schneider makes one save while Corey Crawford gets prepared to make saves at the other. For Team Canada, 31-year-old Corey Crawford about to play for Canada for the first time ever at any level. A big moment for him.
Well deserved.
Yeah, absolutely. And meantime, Braden Holtby, who closed the book at his night, stopped 11 of 13 shots in the first half of this game.
Yeah, and the one C&I puck that went over the top of him, I mean, there was just no chance. He didn't even know where it was. And then his teammate, John Carlson, on that 5-on-3 with that real back scratcher, one-timer there from the top of the circle. And again, hard to fault him on that. Otherwise, I think a pretty good performance for Braden Holtby. Not a ton of work, but when you're facing the best shooters the USA has to offer, every shot is a potential goal at your net, so you got to be sharp all the time. And I thought Braden Holtby looked pretty good, as Corey Schneider.
They have fixed up the glass issue, and we're ready to drop the puck again just past the midway point of this second period. Canada scored the first 3 goals of the game, 2 of them on the power play, and USA has come back with a couple of their own, including one here in the second period. Faceoff pulled back, but too strong, and this one ends up all the way back to Crawford. Clearly, Crawford, I'm sure, would have had an opportunity to play in a couple of World Championships, but he's been a little busy that time of year for the past several years with some deep playoff runs.
His arms are tired from lifting the cup.
That's right.
Well, Corey Schneider, one of those guys who leads the league in quality starts. 62.7% of the time he has a quality start. I mentioned the fact he doesn't get a ton of goal support in New Jersey, and right there he flashes that glove up. All the goaltenders in this tournament, they've been flashing around their new equipment that they've got together for this World Cup of Hockey. And of course, we mentioned his pads, but every goaltender's got a new little wrinkle to their gear.
Little flip backhand pass. Marchand just knocks it in deep, and Carlson settles that puck down, forced out from behind his own net. Some good back check pressure there, or forecheck, I should say, by Giroux. And now here comes Marchand, but it is offside at the blue line. Sharp call.
Well, there's no doubt about it that the pace that was there last night is not here tonight, and it's obvious. And both coaches had mentioned that the back-to-back games were going to be a tough one to get through. It's not like you've had a week and a half of practicing and getting your legs going ready for this kind of pace they set last night. So tonight, a little bit slower pace, a lot more special team work.
John Tortorella lamenting why they were even playing back-to-back games to begin with at this early stage, but that's the coach for you. And he's probably not wrong.
Well, if you're an NHL team, you got 25, you got 30, 35 players to pick from, so you can sit out 8, 9, 10 guys. You're not burning guys. We got 23 players here. You can only sit out a couple of guys, one defenseman and one forward. Everyone else is going back to back, and including the elder statesman Joe Thornton.
And in case you are joining us late, there's a pass that just failed to connect for Seguin. In case you are joining us late, no Crosby. He was given the night off tonight, much to the dismay of all the fans here in the building tonight. David Backes and Matt Niskanen were the scratches for Team USA. Here's Thornton, traps that puck. He is met immediately there by Bufflin, and Canada forced around the other side. Now a long pass again. Again, it's Seguin trying to force his way in. Drops it up, scores! What a play! Seguin, Duchesne, back of the net.
Last night, Canada gained 2 and 3 zones on one pass, and what a play there from Doughty up to Seguin. I mentioned earlier, I like the look of this line. Put the two young wheelers in between Joe Thornton, one of the great passers in the game, and let them go. And Seguin puts on the afterburners. He protects the puck. As the defender reaches in, he protects it to his backhand. He knows Duchesne's coming. He lays it out, and he didn't even dust it off. He let it go right away, and he beats Corey Schneider.
A two-time gold medalist at the World Championship the last couple of years for Matt Duchesne, and he restores a 2-goal lead with a fine one-timer. And a nice pass by Seguin to set it up. And it's 4-2. USA right back to work, grinding it out in the Canadian zone. Puck comes up the boards and just outside the line. Duchesne, who's coming off his first career 30-goal season, career high. On the board here. And Canada starts out again. It is Stamkos. Steven Stamkos, who had a nice chance there in the first period with the puck, trying to center it, and he is hit pretty hard over there by Eric Johnson. Now stepping back in, near side, it's Patrick Kane. Snap shot in on his teammates. And Corey Crawford's seen that one a time or two.
Well, that's important, that those shots that come from the perimeter that hit you as a goaltender, you don't let them drop in front of you. Carey Price struggled with one last night, and it ended up in the back of the net. Oshie is just all over Tyler Seguin. Again, the outlet pass from Doughty. I mean, Norris Trophy winner. I mean, he rockets that thing. That's 2 zones to hit Seguin, who takes it on the fly. And you mentioned it to me, Dave. He had Oshie all over his back, and he still had the presence of mind to protect the puck. Eyes in the back of his head. Nice drop to Duchesne.
Now, Oshie's heavy. He plays a heavy game, and you're right. He did well to ward off that check and make the play.
He had that nasty hit on Logan Couture last night at the blue line there. Caught him in the head a little bit, and Couture no worse for wear at his goal tonight.
With some speed through the neutral zone, that pass broken up by a back-checking Brad Marchand. And stepping back in is JVR. Van Riemsdyk shoots. What a stop by Crawford. Oh, yeah.
How do you like that? I know everyone's talking about Carey Price and Braden Holtby, but hey, I'm here. And I can make this work. JVR is a guy who got healthy scratched in game 1 in Columbus, and he came into the lineup tonight. He's been flying pretty good. He's got the afterburners on a few times in this game, and when he gets going, he is a hard guy to contain. And he thought he had the top corner pick, but Corey Crawford had an answer for him, and that was that left glove, that catching glove. He snagged that out of the air.
A career-high 35 wins last season for Crawford, and he missed 11 games with an injury, and that's a pretty good stop for your first big glove save in Team Canada colors. Keeps it 4-2.
Their best defenseman last night took a pretty good blow on an attempt. He tried to hit Bergeron on the back door. Oh, here's the dump in. He takes the hit, and he jars his right arm. So he goes to the bench, and he's like, this is not feeling right. And there's the hit on Stamkos along the boards. Erik Johnson, not known for being a big hitter, but tonight he's laid a couple of good licks on Team Canada. His first game into the lineup, Pietrangelo had his arm stretched out on the bench. Team Canada scored. He's still stretching his arm, and he couldn't get both arms in the air, but he raised one anyway. It's amazing how when things are going good, you don't feel any pain.
Hurts a lot more when you're trailing.
That's right. That does. Believe me, it stings a lot worse. But he's, in August, when they heard that Duncan Keith was struggling a bit, I think the call was made to Pietrangelo, and they talked to him about moving over to the left side and playing that left side. And you can be more vulnerable if you're used to playing the right. And you see more left defensemen playing on the right because there's just more left defensemen. That's why right-hand shots are like gold. But he's done a pretty good job adjusting.
Good face-off win, controlled by the Americans. Kane tries a wrist shot, and that is deflected into the corner. Pavelski is on it. And Team Canada is on him. The outlet pass to Marc-Edouard Vlasic, and Canada is away. And they're offside as well.
And for Pietrangelo, just to kind of stay with that, at the end of the day, he gets a heads up on it too. Babcock gives him a call, says this is something we're thinking about. Because Bouwmeester coming in, even though it's the left-right thing, he's a guy that wasn't even involved in the first top 7. So does he move right into the top 4 where Pietrangelo is going to be playing? I think moving him over to the left side was something they needed to try, and I think it's been pretty good as he's teamed up with Brent Burns.
There's been a lot of players who have had to skip and even leave the team due to injuries and different situations, but I don't know if there's one bigger than Duncan Keith for Team Canada.
Oh, agreed, 100%. You can't replace Duncan Keith.
A lot of important players in the tournament for sure, but here's Suter with a blast into traffic. Never reached the net. Comes into the near wall, and Johnson is there along with Tavares. Tavares and Johnson. Puck battle, comes free, and Canada's going to skate it out. And there's Pietrangelo back on the ice to center and in.
Well, I think what that just does is it just puts a little more on the plate of Drew Doughty and Alex Pietrangelo. That's what it does. I mean, when you lose a guy like Duncan Keith, those guys take on even more responsibility, and they're up to the challenge for it, and they welcome it. And then you sprinkle it around everywhere else, and everyone else takes a little bit more. But Duncan Keith, in this small ice surface, he is such a quick get-to-you skater. He takes away so much time and space defensively, plays in all positions, so certainly a big miss.
Hustling in for that puck there is Seguin. He is rubbed out there by Dubinsky, allowing Dustin Byfuglien to get on his horse. Good outlet pass across the ice. Dubinsky with a shot, partially tipped on its way through. Crowd getting into it here on a Saturday night. Sold out Canadian Tire Center. Here's Palmieri. Throws it out in front. Puck bouncing around in heavy traffic. Pacioretty's shot goes wide. Dubinsky is on it. His fourth line trying to get something going here. Shot from Byfuglien just misses far post. And now it's Doughty. Puts it up the boards again. Calling for it was Thornton, and that pass got away from him.
Well, some good end zone pressure by the Americans. I mean, they haven't had a ton of it in this game, but that was one of the better shifts.
Stepan with a pass to Wheeler. Snapshot, long range. Stop made by Crawford.
In the best on best, you have to know that you're not always going to be skiing downhill playing in the opponent's end. There are going to be some hectic shifts where you're going to spend some extended time in your end. How do you handle it? This is what you work on when you come to training camp for Team Canada and Team USA. You worked on defensive zone coverages, and that's exactly what Canada does here. A real nice job, including Duchesne, who stepped up into the high slot to take away a one-timer from Pacioretty.
This one backed off the glass. Down the ice, no icing, and now a chance for Marchand. Almost stepped out in front of the net, and the puck did not come with him. Vlasic keeps it deep. Back there is McDonough. He is surrounded by a couple of red jerseys, and it's banked off the boards, and now Wheeler tries to force Vlasic back. Canada steps back in, backhand feed, looking for Giroux, did not connect. And it is blown down. 3:22 to go, second period.
Well, offside at the Canadian blue line. They'll bring this all the way back towards the American blue line. And I like some of the changes that Team Canada has made. And the USA's made some minor adjustments to their lineup tonight. Of course, they bring in a couple of new players like Canada did. But they just made a few shifts. Parise moved up to that top line with Pavelski and Kane. And of course, Van Riemsdyk comes in and he moves into Parise's spot on that second line. So certainly their top six, very, very dangerous. All those guys were on the score sheet last night, Dave.
Yeah.
You look at Parise with that meat and potatoes guys. They're going to come out and bang and play hard and give you energy, but your top six guys have got to find a way to find the back of the net for you.
Parise sitting on 299 career goals in the NHL. Here's a chance, open ice. Stamkos getting in there, shoots, did not get all of it, and looked for the rebound, and it wasn't there.
Nice play by Suter.
He's stuck with him. Here's Kane, cross-ice feed, bounces off a stick, and a collision there with Taves allows him to get the puck to Stamkos. Even Stamkos collides down low there with Johnson again. Second time in the last couple of minutes those two have come together. And now he's on the puck, back of the net. Chased up by Johnson. He gets rid of it towards the net. Rolling puck. And diving on that one is Schneider.
It's kind of like Steven Stamkos' playoffs. He missed pretty much the whole playoff run with that blood clot issue he had. And this here's an opportunity to play some real high-level hockey. I think Tampa Bay will be thrilled he's going to be into this early now this year. Such a smart guy. He knows where the puck's coming. He steps into it. Suter does a marvelous job of getting his stick and on the angle into the play. But he is so dangerous all the time, and he's a lot quicker than he looks. You know, he's got a bit of a strange skating stride, but one of those high-step, long, hard strides, but he gets moving pretty good.
Centering pass, try to find Tavares. And here is Kessler, who was a bit of a storyline in the first period. Hit a couple of times hard by Team Canada in the opening 20. Canada steps in. Here's Brent Burns. Cross-ice feed for Tavares. Got past him. Now John Tavares walking out of the corner. Off the boards, turns, puts it back towards the net, and scooping it up with a glove. Once again, is Schneider.
Well, these guys will get under each other's skin, whether you're teammates at one point or not. When you're going best against best, country against country. And here's Corey Perry. He sat and watched that game last night. He knew Oshie was a physical player for Team USA, and right here they just get into each other's kitchen, grabbing each other. Referee right there to kind of say, all right, that's enough. And they will test each other, pushing it to the limits.
It's amazing that Corey Perry is a late ad. That's the
Hart Trophy winner.
Yeah.
Stanley Cup champion, Hart Trophy winner, and he's an add-on.
Joe Thornton throws it out in front of the net, and here is Vlasic. Vlasic back in there, puck is loose, and Thornton's stick tied up by Zabinski. Weber leans into it and blasts one just wide. Here's Vlasic from the near side, knocked down and skated out by Palmieri. Career year for him. Big numbers in Jersey. And he's trying to fight his way out in front. Cannot do so. Carlson tries to keep it deep. Goes into the corner. Here's Palmieri forcing the issue. Trying to get it to Pacioretty. He stood up, but taking the worst of that one was Duchesne. Good physical play going on right now. Shot deflected on its way in. Here's Weber.
Going to be a penalty to the U.S. High stick on Duchesne, who's had a really good shift at both ends. At one end, he had a couple of really good plays, and at the other end, he ran into Pacioretty right in the slot and then took a stick in the face and then drew this penalty. His whole game has picked up since he moved on to this Thornton line with Tyler Seguin. He's rubbing his jaw, and I guess he should, as you're going to see him block this shot, and then Palmieri comes up and just cracks him right in the face.
So there goes Palmieri.
As he should, and really excited about that line combination change. Real big difference between Duchesne and Tyler Seguin and Joe Thornton. They have found some chemistry. It's been Canada's best line in this period. Every shift they've been causing havoc in the United States end, and in their own end, they've played pretty good defensively.
Getzlaf gets a new stick, and with 53.4 on the clock here in the second period, 6 power play opportunity now for Team Canada. They're 2 for 5. And they will set it up. Tavares. Saucer pass to Doughty. Doughty goes across to Stamkos. Cross-side speed. One-timer just missed off the stick of Tavares. Out of the corner, Tavares looks around, stripped, gave it away to Stepan, who then gives it away to Getzlaf. A Canada forced out, and here is Doughty. Finds Getzlaf, who steps in. In front to Tavares, backhander. Schneider ready, makes the save and holds on.
He gets the armpit squeezed tight. These guys are such good in these tight spots, and I heard Mike Babcock talking about that in the pre-tournament talks with the media, that you got to get players that are good in these tight areas, and it's a small ice surface they're playing on. It's not an Olympic-size ice surface, so things happen quickly, and you got to make these little passes and then get pucks off your stick quickly to the net. And there we saw earlier the goal by Couture from the pass from Thornton that he scored on. And right there, another quick backhand to the net.
Corey Perry puts that one back towards the D, and it goes all the way down the ice. Retrieving it is Weber. Here's Brent Burns, long pass. Karam's right to Canada, and Couture gets it into the corner. Time winding down, bodies collide again. That is Abdelkader, and in there for another late hit. Is that Perry? And here we go again.
Joe Thornton, who rocked Kessler in the first period and was penalized for it, comes in here hard and finishes his check on Justin Abdelkader, and then everything kind of goes from there. You know, Corey Perry and Ryan Kessler are kind of those two villain-type guys, and they love to play that villain. Right off the draw, there's the slash on the hand by Abdelkader on Corey Perry. Now he's going to pick up his stick, and then this thing's going to roll itself around, and Joe Thornton just lays it on him. In comes Perry to give Abdelkader a shot, and then all the shenanigans start from there. It's a bit of a schmozzle after that, as they're trying to sort it all out, and Weber got a chance to get an extra shot on Ryan Kessler, who buried him last night.
You know things are getting good when Gary Galley breaks out the old schmozzle line. 4-2 after 2 in Ottawa.
All right, pretty nice pace to that second period. How are you liking the exhibition hockey, Canada versus the U.S.? Good start for the Americans in that second period. John Carlson brought them within one, but then Matt Duchesne, a two-time world champ, as well as an Olympic champ, and he restores Canada's 2-goal lead. Beautiful feed from Seguin. Much more coming your way. We get Nick and Elliot's thoughts. That's after the break. Scored a beauty goal. We remember him from the World Junior Tournament as well as the 2014 Olympics. He's standing by at the Canadian Tire Center with Christine Simpson.
Well, John, it's not quite the pace we saw last night in that game. How much of that is just trying to find a rhythm with all the penalties? How much of it is this is the second of back-to-back games?
Probably both. I think the penalties started early on, so that doesn't really help get everyone into the mix, get everyone moving and stuff. So definitely both parts, but I'd say to start off like that probably doesn't help.
All right, take a 2-goal deficit now into the third period. What do you need to do to get to Corey Crawford in the final 20?
Yeah, just do what we've been doing. I think we haven't got to the front of the net as well as we did in the first game, and that's why we scored so many goals the first game. So I think that's certainly something we'll be trying to do.
Thanks, John.
All right, thanks.
All right, welcome back into the studios. We got Elliot Friedman, Nick Kypreos. Give us the update at the end of that little skirmish. What happened, Elliot?
Double minor for Corey Perry, 1 for charging, 1 for roughing, and a single minor to Abdelkader for roughing. Palmieri already with Palmieri there. Now we'll just wait and sort it out, and eventually American power play.
You said double for Corey.
Double for Corey.
Okay, and that kind of lends into this conversation, the continual conversation. This is starting to look like last team standing might walk away with the World Cup championship. Is this going to be sort of one of these attrition? Whoever can survive it is going to win it?
You know what? You hope that when it's all said and done, it really comes down to who's got the most talent, who's the most determined to win this championship. But you're right. It may come down to who's healthiest when it's all said and done. This is just the 7th exhibition game. And when you start looking now at what we've accumulated in such a short period of time, this is Sabatka. This probably scares the heebie-jeebies out of the St. Louis Blues. Kruger, that hit cost him his 2nd exhibition game. We saw Tyler Seguin hunt down a puck on an icing to go down hard. This is Oshie on Couture. We are sitting there going, okay, is he all right? Is he got the cobwebs going? Giroux goes down and limps off the ice on the hit against Pavelski. And this is 2 teammates, Palat and Kucherov, that end up colliding. Palat obviously knew he was a teammate because he went right back at him. And then we've discussed Kessler in that whole situation. Tonight, Pietrangelo, the new captain of the St. Louis Blues. This, on one hand, for 2 reasons, probably scares the heebie-jeebies out of Doug Armstrong.
Nick,
short term and long term.
Real quick, though, you can't rein these guys in. They're playing for their country. They're prideful guys. They're great competitors. What do you do? Because someone during this tournament, it looks like is going to get seriously injured.
And we got 5 exhibition games to go.
What are you going to do?
There's nothing that they can do. You hold your breath if you're a general manager. That's all you can do. The guys, the horse is out of the barn here. There's no going back.
Do you remember 2 weeks ago we were wondering if any player was going to take this tournament seriously? I think that question's been answered. And even the guys for North America, they played hard last night or the other night, and I would expect that Europe is going to have a big bounce-back game because they were obviously embarrassed by what happened to them in their exhibition opener.
All right, one of the other themes for Team Canada is everyone wants to know, is Carey Price healthy? He looks healthy. He played yesterday, first time in almost 300 days. If you're Mike Babcock, any reservations at all about Price when it comes to the real tournament starting him? Any reservations, guys?
No. I mean, he wasn't his sharpest last night by his own admission, but it was his first game in 300 days. You saw the way he played in Sochi. I'm sure he'll get the last exhibition game. He'll probably get the first tournament game against the Czech Republic. I think that's the last thing Team Canada's worried about.
In all honesty, and we know it starts for real this time next week, Saturday, Canada against the Czechs. Even if he was to lose that game, Elliot, I don't even see them going to Holtby or Crawford in game 2. That's the type of respect that Babcock has for this goalie. He said it best. He's sleeping well. No problem there.
And
the bigger question, Dave, would be if Canada wins this game, can Crosby get back into the line?
Yeah, that's a huge question. The insider, Elliot Friedman, with all the tough questions and hopefully some answers as well. We got lots more coming your way. John Carlson, this was an absolute beauty. 2-man advantage helps him get some space. He finds the back of the net. Much more rolling your way. World Cup of Hockey. Check out our earlier action from this triple header. Sweden and Finland in Gothenburg. First period, Sweden 2-man advantage. Too easy. Sedin to Louis Eriksson. Canucks connection finds the back of the net behind Rask 1-0. How about that same duo? Eriksson again on the power play. Finds a seam and scores, beating Tuukka Rask. He has 3 goals in 2 games. Canucks liking that. Third period, 3-2 Sweden. Philip Forsberg to Nick Backstrom. No problem there. Sweden doubles up on Finland 6-3. Patrick Hornquist 4 points in the win. They now fly across the Atlantic. Their next games will be in North America. How about Russia and the Czech Republic? Early third, no score in Prague. Yevgeny Kuznetsov. This is how you find a seam. Are you kidding me? Nikita Kucherov. That's a beauty, guys. That's a second for Kucherov in this tournament thus far. But dying minutes of the game, Czechs pull the goalie. Thomas Plekanec, their captain, scores his second in the tourney. We need a shootout. In the shootout, Aleš Hemský trying to put the Czech Republic up 2-1. He does, and that's the difference maker. Czech Republic wins 2-1. Czechs and the Russians also will come across the Atlantic. Their next games will be in North America. As for tomorrow, pretty good way to wrap up the weekend. Red Sox and Jays, Sportsnet 12 Eastern, first place in the AL East on the line. And then at 5:30 Eastern, we tee it up. North America and Europe the second time, this time from the Bell Center. It's going to be fun. Kyle Bukauskas, he had a chance to get one-on-one with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins today.
Well, Ryan, I know Todd has said that you guys haven't quite hit your ceiling just yet. So with your second pre-tournament game here tomorrow night, how do you inch closer to that?
Well, we can take a lot of positive things that we did last game. I mean, the way that we started was really encouraging. I mean, we were flying, every line was going, and we had lots of chances. And then as the game went on, we kind of slowed down a little bit, but at the same time, we did a lot of good foundation things, so we can just keep getting better and moving on.
We know the history between Nathan MacKinnon and Jonathan Drouin dating back to junior. How do you foresee the dynamic working with you centering those two?
Yeah, I think it'll be pretty fun. I mean, I thought me and Nate worked pretty well together last game, and obviously those two know each other well and have played a long time together. So hopefully I'll be able to jump right in and get some chemistry going.
You're known for your offense, but it appears you'll be doing your fair share of penalty killing for this team as well. Do you take pride in that role too, Ryan?
Definitely. I mean, since I've been in the league, I've kind of wanted to work on my defensive side of the game, and I want to be a 200-foot player for sure. And I started to penalty kill maybe 2 years ago, so I just got to keep working on it. And it's a role I definitely want to embrace and try to be the best I can be at.
All right, Ryan, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
All right, thanks. No problem.
And Nugent-Hopkins with a goal in that 4-0 win against Team Europe. In fact, Nugent-Hopkins, one of 5 first overall picks on Team North America. If they were maybe the dark horse in this tournament, they're certainly not going to sneak up on anyone anymore, are they, Nick?
No, they're not. And this was a bit of the joke team, right? The gimmicky team. Yeah. And all of a sudden, now they're getting some respect. Talking to Mike Babcock, he said, by far, he views North America as the most dangerous team in the tournament because of that speed and that skill. So what happens now with this small success that they had in Game 1 of an exhibition game series is how do you manage that now? You know, do they have enough experience, albeit a little of experience, to at times back off that skill, Elliot, because we know what we've seen so far. There's some meat and potatoes to the style of hockey we've seen so far.
I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. I mean, Nick, you played at the highest level. Who gets satisfied after one exhibition victory? I think they take the long view, and they know it's not going to be as easy as it was that night. You know, the Europeans have had a couple of days to sit there and look and think about what went wrong and what they're going to have to do to fix that. That was a spectacular game. It was exciting to watch. I think it did great things for that team's reputation here at this event. But if there's no way they're satisfied after that. They can't be, and they know it.
And Ralph Kruger also has his work to do, the former Oilers coach and the Swiss national coach with Team Europe. Adjustments are definitely going to be coming for them. So 5:30 Eastern time, Nick and Elliot and I will be back for that. But we have some business to take care of. It's called the third period. Canada holding on to a 4-2 lead out at the Canadian Tire Center. Corey Crawford robbing JVR, my goodness, and Steven Stamkos getting in on the act as well. Third period's coming your way. That is next. Third period about to begin. Ben Bishop in net for the States. They start the third on a power play.
And the good news for Team USA, it was Jonathan Quick the other night, 40 minutes of play, 33 saves. He looks as solid as a starter as Carey Price for Canada.
Bishop was great, though, in the third period last night.
Let's get you out there, Dave Randorf and the crew.
Back at the Canadian Tire Center for third period action between Canada and USA. And as we expected, Ben Bishop comes on in relief, as he did last night, stopping 9 of 10 shots in the third period against Canada. The third period starts 4-on-4. Corey Perry took an extra charging minor. He and Abdelkader got matching roughing penalties at the whistle there, so it's 4-on-4. Then USA will soon be on the power play once Palmieri steps out. 2-goal game as we begin the final frame. Irish shot in on Bishop, and he's got it.
Those are the kind you like. You know, he's starting this time off coming in the third period, not down 5-on-3, but on a power play, or going to be a power play in a little bit, but he gets a nice, easy shot, something he gets to catch, get warmed up, get the feeling, and get going. It's tough coming in the third period, and he's done that back-to-back nights for Ben Bishop. Corey Schneider, pretty good job, allowed 4 goals on the 24 shots. The more I look at it, I do believe that Jonathan Quick will be their guy. And they're talking that they're going to have a look all around here, but I just think, how do you not go with Jonathan Quick?
The two-time Olympian. Tough call, though. They got 3 good goalies. Skating it out and putting the puck into the middle of the ice. Now it's controlled by Team USA. Ryan McDonough goes back and forth with Carlson, who's got the puck now. They'll take some more time off here and then enjoy man advantage to try to make it a 1-goal game again. Winding it up. That pass up ahead now is skated out by Pavelski. Pavelski steps in. That pass ends up in the corner. Well, there he's out of the box, so it's now a power play for the U.S. for 47 seconds. Round the boards. Canada chasing it and chipping it, and down it goes. Suter being told that Bergeron is behind him. Gets there first, moves it to Bufflin, and the U.S. starts out again. And it's Parisi dropping it off for Kane. Kane gets it back to Suter, throws it across to Bufflin. Snap shot, tip just wide. Centered out in front, bouncing puck. Crawford down, and the puck is cleared.
A good block by Vlasic, who got in the lane there and not just blocked it, but got it cleared out.
Here comes Big Buck, his backhander, handled, rebound, scooped out, and all the way down the ice.
That's the most important thing. It's when the shot does come to the net, is how do you react off the block or wherever the puck goes off the goaltender. And the sooner you can get to it and track it down, that's why it's so important to have that inside position to get to those loose pucks and then make those clears. And both these teams very adept at penalty killing, and that's why it's been so hard for the power play to get any traction. But tonight, both teams have had a chance to strike. Canada twice on the power play and the USA once.
That is commitment right there by those two guys. Saturday night. Cleared once again by Team Canada, sent down the ice.
And that's okay. Just slow it down, take the draws. You got a really good face-off, guys, in Kessler. And Joe Thornton is no slouch either. And this is going to be about all puck possession, winning draws with these two teams. If they can win large majority of their draws, they get possession immediately.
Back to even strength, 5-on-5. Tapped off the boards, and here is Doughty. 26-year-old Drew Doughty finally breaking through, getting that Norris Trophy. That puck goes around the board, just out of the reach of Ben Bishop. Now it's picked up by Kessler. Kessler carries in. His shot deflected, gets in towards Crawford, who rattles it off the glass in the corner. And Duchesne, who right now has Canada's 4th goal of the night. He's down low. U.S. with a chance. McDonough shoots. What a stop by Crawford! From the seat of his pants, reaches up and keeps it out. Crowd buzzing over that one. That one gets out to center ice. Here's Suter. Gives it up. Shoveled in there, and there's the glove of Crawford again.
Pretty good. Not even period and a half yet for Corey Crawford, who had that great glove save on JVR, and then he comes across here. And the key to him coming across was he kept his body up. Watch, even though he's opening up his legs, his body stays up, his gloves stay in front of him, and he's able to use all those things to combat the puck and stop it from going in. Real good save for Corey Crawford.
He's from just down the road, 2 hours away in Montreal. And he's made 2 great saves here since coming into the halfway point.
Well, everyone will tell you it's Carey Price's job to lose, but he hasn't played a lot, and last night there was definitely some rust.
Here's the pass back to the point. Wrist shot knocked down in front and forced outside the line by Johnson, who's really been involved tonight. Got some blocked shots. He's got hits. He's got 5 hits, 4 blocked shots.
When you come into the lineup, you didn't play in game 1. You come into the lineup, you want to show these coaches you want to stay in this lineup, and you got a fresh set of legs to work with too. A lot of these guys are coming off after a pretty high-paced first exhibition game.
Jack Johnson given a shot there by Giroux, and it's back into center, in and out of the glove there of Shea Weber.
There's a big change on the defense corps for USA when you look at Sochi. No Falk, no Fowler. Those guys aren't here this time. They elected to go with guys that they snubbed the last time, which was Byfuglien and Jack Johnson, who played pretty good for them.
Here's a loose puck for Abdelkader. He sweeps it aside, gets it to Byfuglien. Byfuglien with the outlets, and they're out to center ice again. Byfuglien got it ahead to his Winnipeg teammate Wheeler, who's in there on the forecheck. Wheeler always strong on the puck, although he's stripped that time by Stamkos. And here is Vlasic. Vlasic ran out of room, so he just dumps it in, and Bishop stops it up.
Well, you got to think of a guy like Kevin Shattenkirk, too. I mean, he's not here for Team USA. He's a guy who's a pretty good player for the St. Louis Blues, and he was there in Sochi as well. So they've, the management of USA has made a decision to really revamp that blue line.
What were they looking for? What elements?
I think they're looking for a little more grit, a little more sandpaper, a little more what you're seeing from Erik Johnson, from Jack Johnson, from Dustin Byfuglien. I mean, it's not just up front they've done it. They've sprinkled it around their lineup. I mean, you got Brian Burke and Dean Lombardi and Paul Holmgren, John Tortorella. These are the guys that are building this team. And they like to have that little bit of edge to their hockey club. John Tortorella talked about it yesterday in Columbus, that he felt USA Hockey really could have built teams to maybe change the tempo of a game, change the momentum of a game. If you look at the penalty, the crash into the net, I don't know if he's calling it a penalty or not.
No, I don't think he is. No.
I thought maybe he was going to call one. The door opened, but the face-off's going to come outside. They wanted a team that could turn the momentum of a game, maybe with a big hit or a grinding out shift. A team that can make opponents have to keep their head on a swivel, and I think that's the kind of team they built here in the United States.
Donovan Taves puts it up the board. Stamkos chips it out to the middle, and now Taves has got it to the other end. Cuts in, floats a pass in there. Was looking for Couture, and he just missed. Logan Couture given a shove there by Johnson, centered out in front, and it goes into the opposite corner. Johnson woke up in a bad mood today, it appears.
Had a nice chat with him in the locker room in Columbus, and he just said he was amazed the shape the players were that came into this training camp. In the short, condensed training camp for Team USA, he really felt like these guys were really ready to play. Logan Couture, he's a competitor. We watched him in the Stanley Cup and the Stanley Cup Finals, and he's not going to give you an inch. And Erik Johnson's just working him over as he's battling for body position. Certainly the size and strength advantage to Erik Johnson, but Logan Couture standing right in there.
Erik Johnson, the former first overall pick by the St. Louis Blues, before he was traded for the aforementioned Kevin Shattenkirk. And that is offside of the line.
And a lot of people felt like there was just maybe wasn't going to reach his potential, what they thought he was going to be. And at the end of the day, sometimes it takes a bit longer for some guys. All the tools are there. It just takes a little more time to get it all together and get it in sync. And I think for Erik Johnson, the move to Colorado, it was maybe a good one for him. And he's really developed into a real solid player.
Tavares after that loose puck, backhand feed, springs Pietrangelo, his drive right on. Bishop makes the stop. He's down and gets after that stick. Lots of bodies in front of him. Another wrist shot. Corey Perry going hard to the net. He's got to get out of it right now. He is still getting out of the crease area. Here's Byfuglien. This one swept near side, met by Burns. Burns up ahead to Tavares, who's trying to shake his check. Byfuglien, and it comes back out to center, and that one is whistled down. 13-18 to go, third period. Perry and company up by the television timeout. The call was made for a delay of game. Puck over glass against James Van Riemsdyk. Here's a look.
He was so tight to the glass, I wasn't sure if it caromed off the glass first. From where I'm standing, it was hard to tell, but at the end of the day, the linesman's right there. He makes the call, and shorthanded again will be the United States.
Here's a one-timer and a stop by Bishop off that blast from Corey Perry.
Well, Corey Perry, no worse for wear as he takes the back end of Dustin Byfuglien as he's cruising to the net. Watch Big Buff stick out his backside, and he catches him right in the lower rib area on the right side, and he was slow to get out of the net and slow to get to the bench. Trainer had a look at him, and he looks pretty good as he let that one-timer go.
Canada's 7th power play attempt. They're 2 for 6 tonight. Burns pulls it off the boards. Nice little feed back to Thornton across to Couture. The Sharks going to work here. And here is Giroux. Giroux banks it off the end boards. Joe Thornton gives it back quickly out to Perry. Puck is loose. And tee back up to Burns. Gives it to Joe Thornton. Down low. Backhand feed. No shot yet. Here's Burns. Will he fire it? There it is. And it's fired wide. Giroux. Saucer over to Burns. Trying to slap pass. It does end up with Thornton. Cross-ice feed. Broken up and sent down by Dubinsky.
Well, the one person who has no problem firing it is Brent Burns. He loves to shoot the puck. He does usually a pretty good job of finding the hole for it as well. Work!
There is Taves gaining the zone. Brings it all the way around. That pass just out of the reach of Doughty, but it stays inside the line for a moment. Now it's out. Over a minute gone in this Canadian power play. Some good control. Not enough pucks to the net here. And Taves going to try this again. Taves all the way in. Centers it out. There's a shot. Rebound. Scores! Johnny Taves. Second of the night. Both of them on the power play, and it's 5-2.
Well, Canada's third power play goal. And I'm not quite sure if Stamkos was putting this to the net. Suter wipes out along the boards, and that allows Taves to get into the zone. And then as he lugs it around the net, he's going to come right out in front to Stamkos and a real nice backhand pass. And Stamkos does a good job of getting it from an uncomfortable position into a shooting position right there from the skate. I mean, that's a real star play right there. And he puts it to the net, and John Tavares is just in the right place at the right time. And it comes off the goaltender right to him, and he's staring at a wide open, gaping net. Canada 5-2.
And for the second time tonight, they've got a 3-goal lead. They're up 3-0 in the first period. The U.S. got back within 1, and now it's 5-2, near the midway point of the third and final period. This is their second pre-tournament game for both these teams. Both squads are going to have a couple of days off. Canada doesn't play again until Wednesday. They'll take on Russia in Pittsburgh, and the U.S. will face the Finns on home ice in Washington on Tuesday night.
Oh, stepping on the ice, you're going against Taves, Stamkos, and Tavares. The same line.
And now here comes Stamkos trying to step away, but Carlson was there. Puck is at the feet. Oshie and Marchand are getting into it right in front of the Canadian bench.
Well, a message sending time. I think for the U.S. that Marchand gets the shot. I don't know if Kessel just figured he'd rip it at his ankle or not. You never quite know what Kessler's thinking when he let that thing go. But at the same time, Oshie gets in there. He's been a bit of a thorn for Canada. He's thrown a couple of good hits and one questionable one on Logan Couture last night. I mean, the United States, when they played these two games against Canada, they talked about trying to, to leave an impression that when you play us, you're going to remember that you played us. And it's not something they felt like they've done enough of in the past little while. So I think certainly they've got Canada's attention. And we talk about the line of Taves, Stamkos, and Tavares. I mean, three great players, and they've seemed to have found a bit of chemistry on this line. And watch this play. Not anybody can make this play. From your front foot, through the back of your leg, to your stick, to the net. I mean, that's how you score 50, 60 goals, having hands and feet, because it's not just your hands. You got to have everything working to make something like that happen, and Tavares just had to plant himself in the right position, knowing that that's where the rebound was going to come, and it did, and he buried it. I like that line. I like the new line with Thornton and Duchesne and Seguin. You figure you got Crosby, Marchand, and Bergeron that looked so good in the first exhibition game, and things are starting to fall into place as far as chemistry for Team Canada.
These two teams will play for real in the round robin Tuesday, September 20th. What a game that promises to be. Here's Byfuglien, pulls it off the wall and throws it across, and Suter gives it up. There's a shot, wrist shot right on the mark off the stick of Kane, and Crawford has got that.
I like this setup for the U.S. You got Kane on the half wall where he is so good. And I like him down low on the goal line too, where he scored his goal last night. He's got such a quick set of hands, and he finds people. He's kind of like Backstrom down there. And I like Byfuglien on that one-timer side. And that allows Suter to pick his poison. Does he go to Kane, or does he let big Dustin Byfuglien rip it?
And there is that rip. Did not get all of that one, but the save is made by Crawford. Here's Kane chasing after that puck. He's got some room. Kane's going to go for a skate. Patrick Kane shoots. Crawford makes the stop. Doughty surrounded, got it away, and it was almost held in there by Byfuglien. And they step back in. Chipped into the corner. Bergeron felt the forecheck coming, got it away, but now it's Kane controlling it on the near side. Back up top for Ryan Suter. Across to Byfuglien. Byfuglien's shot is tipped wide of the mark. Into the near corner it goes, and now Canada's going to skate it away. Taves sends it in. For Bishop, this is good news also for him to get back into action after his playoffs ended very early. Taken off the ice on a stretcher early on in that Eastern Conference final with a high ankle sprain.
That's back-to-back years. He has had to vacate the playoffs in his position and allowing it for Vasilevsky to come in. And unfortunately for Tampa Bay, that's a big loss for them. I mean, he's been a real stud for them in between the pipes.
As mentioned, he played here briefly, a total of 23 games over a season and a half before he was traded to Tampa Bay for Corey Connaughton.
Yeah. I think a lot of people look back on that trade and shake their heads. And they got him from St. Louis for a second-round draft pick.
Here's a chance, stepping in. That shot from Stepan is deflected high and out of play.
Again, Vlasic. And here's a guy that a lot of people don't know a lot about. He plays out in San Jose on that West Coast, and when he was selected to play in Sochi, a lot of people were like, Marc-Edouard Vlasic? And I'll tell you what, you talk to anybody in the Western Conference, he is a heck of a player.
We'll take a break. 9:01 to go, third period from Ottawa. On the wrong end last night of a 4-2 loss against USA in Columbus. Tonight, different story, 5-2.
Home ice advantage, maybe with the doctor order for both these teams. Canada was out of the gate quick last night. Jonathan Quick was a big factor in keeping that game at zeros for a period of time until USA got their feet on the ground.
Suter's drive goes off a leg, bounces right to Team Canada, and there's Duchesne, who's got a nice one tonight. But there's been plenty of edge. Seen a lot of that on both of these nights, and it really, as mentioned, sets the stage for what could be a real memorable round-robin meeting. When everything starts for real, a week from tonight. Here's Dubinsky now. Brendan Dubinsky carries the puck in. And out goes to Suter. Sharp angled attempt to get it towards the net. Moved out by Duchesne. This one lofted in the air for Duchesne to go get. He cuts in and almost had a highlight of the outside goal. And he was just tangled up with the stick of the defenseman.
He did a great job. You know what? I've really been impressed with his defensive zone presence. He's made some very good defensive zone plays, and as a result of that, he's been getting some offensive chances. And oftentimes players will tell you, as good as you are on your end, you'll create chances going the other way. And I think he's been really dynamite in his end. I mean, he's one of those guys. He's known for his great skating ability, his edges. And he's a real sniper. But tonight, I really like his I really like his game in his zone as well. He's been in the slot and stymied a few plays as the United States might be getting a bench penalty here. As the gate is swung open, it looks like Kyle Palmieri is going to head over. And this may be too many men on the ice. Canada got one earlier in this game, and they are really watching the changes on the bench. And there's the 6 guys you see all in play. It's one thing that Coach Babcock and Coach Tortorella will be stressing with their team is to watch your line changes, because, man, those too many men on the ice penalties, they seem to always come back and bite you.
So ample power play opportunities tonight for the team in red. Here is Tavares, who's got 2 with a man advantage. To Doughty. Doughty loads, shoots. That one is up high on Bishop. He is looking at the referee saying, can there be any more people in my lap here?
And I mentioned it earlier, Dave. When you have goaltenders of this stature, and especially a guy like Bishop, who's 6'7", I mean, you got to get out in front of him. And right there, I think Taves bumps into him. And you're allowed to come across that blue paint and screen him, but you're not allowed to touch him. And if that would have went in, I would imagine that would have been coming back.
Doughty to Tavares. And pass into the corner. McDonough challenges Taves. And Tavares comes in to help out. Out of the corner. Thrown across. Doughty. No lane to shoot, so he floats a pass across to Jonathan Taves. Back to Doughty. There's the drive, and the stop made by Bishop. Reaches back to make sure and keeps the puck out.
For when he's had to come in cold, I got to tell you, I have a ton of respect for Ben Bishop. He came in last night and made 9 out of 10, and he had about 3 guys run into his crease almost right through him. And tonight, Taves bangs him here, and real solid. Not just the save. He squares up, he makes the save, but he doesn't bleed a rebound. And that's the key. It hits you, and it dies within you.
Here's a one-time blast from Perry, and that was deflected on the way by. Zabinski pulls that puck back, but he is stripped. Good pressure again by this power play unit for Canada. Now got new personnel on the ice. With some speed is Giroux. He's cut off and given a bit of a whack there by Zabinski. Blown down to the whistle, or the blue line, I should say.
Well, usually he saves those for Sidney Crosby. Of course, they have that battle going on for the last few years in playoffs. Columbus-Pittsburgh, it was a pretty good whack on the very first shift that I don't think Crosby ever recovered from in that playoff series, and his hand was never the same, and there a pretty good healthy one on Giroux. When the score gets like this, with you know, you try to take a few little liberties and send a few small messages to your opponent, and they're not going to see each other again till it's for real.
Claude Giroux at one time, not too long ago, one of the top scorers in the NHL. And has battled injuries of late, trying to get that elite status back. That pass taken away by Abdelkader, and he got it down the ice, and here is Parise. Zach Parise dumped there by Couture, who takes the puck and heads north. Now it's Perry. Canada sets up again. Perry in, shoots. Save made by Bishop. Rebound bounces all the way out to center ice.
Scary thing about Bishop, even when he drops down the butterfly, he's still 6'2". It's like so straight up. There's not much to shoot at.
Two-time now Vezina finalist is Ben Bishop.
Well, like I said, the Senators got him for a second-round draft pick. At the time, they had Anderson, and they just felt like he was going to be their guy, and they made the deal.
Here's Duchesne now, high slot, dishes off. Team's back at even strength, 5-on-5. Shea Weber, lane to shoot, blasts one. That stung Palmieri. Ouch, he is going to get to the bench right now. Just under 6 minutes to go. This sellout crowd in Ottawa being treated to a pretty solid performance by Team Canada tonight, playing on back-to-back nights against the United States. Here's Suter, carries in. Kessler following up, shovels it out in front, and Kane was there. Now he's got the puck again. Here's Kane. Tries to walk out on his backhand, flips it back to Suter. Suter turns it over, and Perry starts out. Perry in over the line, leaves it for Pietrangelo. Tried the opposite side one-timer there for Getzlaf, and he couldn't get it in the wheelhouse. Now that pass is bouncing on him as well. And you know what? He's just going to forget about it. The stick is gone. I'm just going back. Now Perry.
It's always the stick's fault.
Well, it did break.
It just ran out of lives. That was it. Enough of that one. Reload.
That pass intercepted, and Kane has got it. Here's Taves. Taves drops it off for Stamkos. Stamkos, wrist shot well wide of the mark. It runs into the helmet out there that used to belong to Perry. Back out and out of the reach of Couture. To center ice. Scrambling play going on right now. Long stretch pass up ahead for Dubinsky. Can't handle it. Rolls off of his stick. And goes in behind of Crawford. Crawford, as mentioned, in his first action wearing the Maple Leaf colors, and he's come up with a couple of nice stops here tonight. Seguin saw that hit coming, and it was wearing number 33.
33 train in the tracks.
Good thing he saw that one. 5-2. Back in the 2009 World Juniors in this building, John Tavares had a very memorable hat trick at a New Year's Eve game against USA, and he's got 2 against the U.S. tonight. Gary?
Well, I'll tell you what, he started out with a friggin' big hit on Kessler in the corner to start this game, and he's been really good tonight. One of Team Canada's better forwards, and he had that one. That was a bit of a lucky bounce off the goaltender. The first one he caromed off the skate of McDonough, but he's been all around the net, and that line's been really, really good. And you remember his trip to Sochi was extremely short as he had that leg injury that took him out of the tournament.
And into the season, here's Couture stepping in, loose puck, and Bishop held his ground with a little help from his friends. Now Stamkos trying to turn the corner, working his way all the way around the net. Can't force the puck out in front, and it's lifted down the ice. Batted back inside the U.S. blue line. 3.5 to go. Here's Marchand, up ahead to Bergeron. Bergeron tried the toe drag move, but that one was broken up again by Eric Johnson. Did his name a lot tonight. That one whistles just wide.
I can't see him coming out of their lineup now. He has been that good tonight for USA.
Here's Kane. Kane hit in the corner there by Pietrangelo. And now some open ice for the speedster, Marchand. Try to float a saucer pass to his Bruins teammate. Picked up by Giroux. Wrist shot up on Bishop. Makes the stop. It's spanked off the end boards. Canada still looking for a little bit more here. Bergeron towards the net. Went off of Marchand. And now it's trapped again by Patrice. Across. One-time blast blocked by Johnson. Back down the other way. There's Palmieri. Palmieri back on for another shift after blocking a Shea Weber slap shot in his last shift. Here's Bufflin. Bufflin rumbling his way in. Lost control of the puck, and it comes back out to center.
Well, for Canada, I think a good feeling after this game tonight, a good rebound game for them. But again, the process continues. I mean, you've got to now go back to the coach's board and say, okay, what combinations are working, what chemistry is working the best, what pairings on the blue line, what lineup do we like better, and then run it again in another exhibition game and see if you can get it right to start the tournament.
The other 2 teams in the group, along with these 2, is Team Europe and the Czech Republic. Here's a high slot chance there for Bufflin. Did not get all of that one.
That's Duchesne again. Great defensive play.
Center ice, John Tavares just finishes the job, curls back, and Duchesne's up there on the forecheck against Jack Johnson. Here's a chance for Seguin, snaps a shot high and wide of the net. Doughty throws it across, ends up in the corner. To Bufflin, banks it off the boards, and picked up by Max Pacioretty, cuts in and almost stepped away, but again, the sound defensive game of Drew Doughty broke that up.
Well, of all the goaltenders, Ben Bishop's had more people in his crease. He's had guys in his crease more than he's been in his crease. And here John Tavares cuts through, and Bishop puts his body out there, and he does that on purpose. It's kind of, he wants to block and give his defenseman a chance to take the net. Unfortunately, Tavares' stick got caught up in Bishop's, and he lost it. But that's what goaltenders will do. They like to pick a little bit for their D-mans to save them from taking hits.
Last minute of play with third period.
Final minute here in Ottawa. And the hometown, the home country fans have been treated to a good performance tonight. By Team Canada, Pietrangelo dishes off. Turning and firing was Taves. Bishop was ready for that one, and he made another save. And they'll step back in, trying to get a couple more shots in on Corey Crawford. Tipped back out and down.
Well, the process will continue for Team USA as well as they'll head back to Columbus and again do the same thing that Canada's going to do. Try to figure it all out and get your best foot forward a week from now. A nice round of applause from the fans here appreciating the effort of Team Canada.
Appreciating the performance, appreciating the fight, and there's a little bit more here to be settled, but it is over here as Weber and Oshie are tangled up. Again, the date is Tuesday, September 20th. That's when these two play again. Must-see TV.
Well, they played 6 periods, and they've aggravated one another pretty good. And so it doesn't surprise me it ends just like this in a heap in the corner to the left of Corey Crawford, and they'll straighten this all out, head their separate ways, and then get ready to do this all over again in real time, for real.
5-2 is the final. Corey Crawford came in and was perfect with a couple of stellar saves to boot.
Well, I think both teams had an opportunity to shuffle some things around this second game. The game did not have the tempo of the first game, but I think everybody knew that. It was impossible for these guys to keep it up, just getting started in the whole process. But at the end of the day, a big win for Canada and a step moving forward.
They split the back-to-back pre-tournament games. USA wins last night in Columbus, and Canada returns the favorite here in their nation's capital, 5-2.
An impressive victory for Canada. 5-2 is your final, and let's check out our Advil play of the game, brought to you by Advil. And Corey Crawford steps in mid-game and made 2 sensational saves. That might have been the best of the bunch. I guess it is if it's the Advil play of the game. Paddle save on Ryan McDonough. Crawford, a clean sheet in this game for Canada in the 5-2 win. How about our Molson Canadian 3 stars? No surprise here. John Tavares, the huge hit in the first minute against Ryan Kessler to set the tone, and then scores 2 goals on 7 shots. Drew Doughty, an absolute machine on the blue line. 2 assists in 19-plus minutes. And Steven Stamkos as well. 2 helpers, 4 shots up and down the ice. An incredible game for him. Tomorrow, the pre-tournament rolls on. Europe and North America, 5:30 Eastern. Connor McDavid, Jack Eichel, Austin Matthews. You will see them on Sportsnet. Before that, it's the Jays and Red Sox, the rubber match in their 3-game series. The Jays just a game behind the Red Sox for first in the American League East. Hope you enjoyed the game from Ottawa and our exclusive World Cup coverage brought to you on Sportsnet. Up next, it's Sportsnet Central with Martine and Brendan.